All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
That was freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Spoken Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 337 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you are live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have a very honest, a very real, a very transparent show for you guys today, a show that we need to have, a show that is necessary on this beautiful Saturday that is otherwise beautiful because things are not so beautiful right now in the kingdom known as the Chiefs Kingdom. And this is going to be a show that we got to have some real conversations, guys. We are going to be very privileged and blessed to have a guy that we haven't had on the show in a little bit of time, but he's back and he's going to give us some much needed knowledge and information from his viewpoint, a guy that breaks down film, a guy that knows the game of ball. They say he knows ball. He's a guy that knows football really well. A guy I respect vehemently. He was in our chat last week, and I said, what the hell, man? Let's get him back on the show. Our guy DMAC WAKEFIELD from the Kingdom Cast. He does several other shows as well, but that is his primary show. They do great work over there, and I suggest that you guys follow their work as well. But DMAC will be on the show at about 12 o'clock. He may pop in a little early. I don't know for sure, but we had a little bit of a delay today, guys. We apologize, but it's nothing to worry about. Obviously, Trevor and I are both here. All 10 toes and 10 fingers are here. We have, like I said, we just have life sometimes, and we are here now, and we're going to get this thing rolling. So first and foremost, Trevor, how are you doing today? How's things going for you, man?
Doing good. Just got back from Scarlet's volleyball games, man, which is why the delay is what it is. But good times, you know. These games are either like really early in the morning or they're like right as the show should be going. So it's like it's never the best situation for me on my end, but here nonetheless, it's been a nice fall week, bro. Nice weather, and needed that because it's been a long week. On top of that, for football reasons, as my fellow fans in this chat here understand thoroughly. So hopefully we can have a productive conversation here today, and hopefully maybe instill some hope in the fan base here. It's easy to be doom and gloom because this is uncharted territory that we're dealing with this time with this team. So. Other than that, man, I'm good, bro. I'm ready to talk some ball, ready to convince myself everything's fine. So,
well, that's what we're gonna have honest conversation here. We'll see how it definitely goes. Well, I want to give a shout out to the chat for being here early and often. Shout out to COLTS Chiefer 65 Toss Power Trap 18, ACU Misfits already here. Dustin Orton obviously is already here. Our guy Will's here. Shout out to the chat, man. We appreciate you guys already being here. Get your questions in, get your takes, your comments, your concerns, whatever you guys have for us. Make sure and do that. And if you'd be so kind, get over on the YouTube side of things. Go to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, like, share, notify, all the fun buttons they got for you. But the one we need you to push the most today is the comment button. We love it when you guys join us in the live stream. We want to make sure that this is a conversation we're having with you guys. This is not us just trying to talk at you. It's a community-driven show, so make sure that you guys join this community. If you just want to be one of the people that want to just chill and sit back and just watch and listen and enjoy the show, by all means have at it. But if you're somebody that has a voice and opinion, somebody that wants to speak your mind, this is the show for you guys. So shout out to all you guys that want to do that. And shout out to everybody that just wants to simply hang out on an awesome Saturday for you guys. And don't let me forget also, we do have an announcement for the show at the end of the show. So make sure and remind me of that, chat, if I seem to forget it, because we got a lot to get over today. So without further ado, Trevor, everyone else, it is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Down! We're that commotion! The moon's gonna do big!
The season didn't start off anywhere near as I expected, and I think a lot of people didn't expect it to start that way. And I was willing to give it a lot of grace period because of, one, obviously the Chiefs have the benefit of the doubt. for what they've done over these last 6, 7, 8 years. I didn't say 6, 7. I said 6, 7, 8. So don't put me on that. All right, guys. But
Kill me.
you might have to if I say it one more time. But they have the benefit of the doubt. They've given us reason to believe they can always find a way out of things, even holes they dig themselves in. There was also injuries. There are also players missing. We'll get to that in just a second. But there came a point in this season where we needed to start figuring out things, where the Chiefs needed to start figuring out things. There comes a point in time in the season where you figure out who the hell you are and what the hell you are. And that is why after the Buffalo Bills loss that I felt the Chiefs should have very much won, I asked the question on Twitter. We can put the poll up there real quick if that's all right, Trevor, because this is something you guys are familiar with, but I wanted to put it back out there. Through 9 games, what are the Chiefs? This was my theme. And as you can see, a lot of people, the majority, said they still have no idea as to what the Chiefs are. There's a mixed bag. As you can see, some people think good, not great team. Fewer people think Super Bowl contender, but a lot of people also think the Chiefs are a disappointment. And then we go through week 10. I asked the same question after the Broncos loss, a game that the Chiefs clearly should have won. They had 2 weeks to prepare, and this is the poll that we have on that one as well. I asked the same exact question, except just 1 week later. Through 10 games, what are the Chiefs? It is almost the exact same, other than the fact that even more of you say you still have no idea.
Fair, man.
25% of you said a bad team. That is more than a playoff team, and far more than a Super Bowl contender. And again, for the first several weeks of the season, the Chiefs were without a healthy Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice was suspended. So the excuses or reasons, or at least were there for the slow start they had off, at least offensively and in the W column. At least, the way they started the season off 0-2, and they just could not get things right offensively. Once they got healthier and or returned, the Chiefs lost their starting left tackle, Josh Simmons, for a month. Some say inexplicably, some say it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter really in the grand scheme of things, but he was simply gone. So again, there was an excuse or a reason for certain offensive inconsistencies. I'll go as far as to say, even in the W and L column as well. All 3 of them played in Denver. So the excuses were gone. We needed to know what the Chiefs are, what the Chiefs were, now that everybody was in tow. There was no reason to explain why they played as poorly as they did and lost their 5th time in just 10 games, especially when you consider the key absences the Broncos had themselves with Pat Surtain and J.K. Dobbins missing. The Andy Reid after the bye mystique is now gone. The Chiefs continue to display a lack of execution and energy, and that starts with their head coach. I couldn't be more appreciative for what Andy's done for this franchise. He's literally saved it and has a massive reason this dynasty even exists. But this team came into this season with not only Super Bowl expectation, but Super Bowl talent. This team won 15 regular season games last season with so many missing pieces. We can go down the list. You can look at this team this season, and you can't help but ask, how did they get worse when they got so much better talent-wise? Somewhere along the line, they lost their ability to scheme up effective offense and deliver it on the field. I have often said that this team relies on the Mahomes magic far too often. I've said this now several times just over the last few episodes. Well, that could not have been more relevant and more true than it is this season. And because the magic looks more like a cheap trick, this team is spiraling without anything to hold on to or rely upon. Either this team is not talented enough for the coaching staff to get them back to their winning ways, or this coaching staff has lost its touch and is failing their players. It's one or the other. Either way, it's a reality they now face, and I don't currently have the faith in me to believe they're going to pull themselves out of it. For the first time in 8 years, and I hope you guys hear when I say this what I mean, I am open to the idea that the Chiefs need to make adequate changes. What those changes are is going to hinge on how the season ultimately ends, what the Chiefs end up putting out there for these next 2 months. So with that in mind, I guess we do have something to look forward to after all, because I think the change may be necessary, because we know one thing about this dynasty is there hasn't been a lot of change. There's been a lot of contingency, and that's fine as long as it's still effective. But if you watched anything on that field over these last 2 months, it's been very stale. It's been very stagnant. You don't see the energy. You don't feel the energy. You don't see a team out there that's looking like they're fired up to go to their 4th consecutive Super Bowl. And yes, I've heard all the responses, people saying stuff like, other franchises have had down years, so that justifies a 5-5 Chiefs who were the Super Bowl favorites just this last week with prime Patrick Mahomes, a seemingly ageless Travis Kelce, a first ballot Hall of Famer Chris Jones, the best head coach in DC in the NFL, losing back-to-back pivotal games in the most frustrating fashion. I mean, other teams have done it, so who cares, right? Or the one where folks look back at previous struggles and previous seasons from the Chiefs in particular. I saw people breaking down, like, oh, the Chiefs started with this record this season, and look what they did after that. They got to the Super Bowl, so everything's fine. Let's just look at this briefly real quick, and let's contextualize that, because for some damn reason, people don't want to bring context into these types of conversations. How about 2019? Chiefs started that season out 6-4. Mahomes suffered his only real injury that kept him out for 2.5 games during those first 2 games. One of those 4 losses came with him out against the Packers. Also, it was Spags' first season as the Chiefs DC, so it was naturally going to take him some time to adjust and to gel with these new pieces that he had, both that were there before him and there that came with him with Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, and so on. 2021, another slow start out the gate when they started off 3-4. That was the one season that can be considered similar to this, how this 2025 season has gone so far. But even so, it didn't take them 10 games to get it going. And that's taking into consideration the Chiefs had literally an entirely new starting offensive line from 2020 and 6 new starting defenders as well. There was a lot of new faces on this roster from 2020 to 2021. We know how that Super Bowl went. You had Creed Humphrey, you had Trey Smith, you had Orlando Brown Jr., had Joe Tooney. Like, you had guys that were not on this team before that. They completely rehauled that offensive line. 6 new starters on defense. It was the slow start, although inexcusable at the time, does have more context to what's happening in 2025. And then there's obviously 2023. We know how that season went. The Chiefs had to overcome the worst wide receiver room in the NFL and possibly the worst starting left tackle in the NFL as well. The 2025 Chiefs, as currently constructed, are not only more talented across the board than any of those 3 previous teams, but have far more winning experience. Even in losses without Rice, Worthy, and Simmons in the lineup, they lost because of poor execution both in coaching and on-field play. In other words, they were legitimate excuses for previous slow starts. This team doesn't. Especially against banged-up Bills, Broncos teams and have-to-win type games. I honestly can't believe we're out here making excuses for the inexcusable. This franchise deserves every ounce of criticism coming their way because they created the Super Bowl standard and have been an abject failure this season. No other way to put it. Could the Chiefs still make the playoffs? Of course. In fact, I still expect them to. But that's not the standard just to make it in. This team was built and expected to keep their foot on the throat of their division, the AFC as a whole, and they're currently far from that. And this is the most confusing shit, Trevor, of all of it. Look at this tweet from Jesse Newell, a great follow, by the way, on Twitter. This guy puts out incredible, and this is one of the most confusing stats to see. So the Chiefs' percentage of offensive drives that ended in scoring or ended in a score during the regular season per True Media Sports. The Chiefs have a higher percentage than any of the previous 3 seasons. And they're 5-5. How about we look at the record in one-scoring games since Patrick Mahomes took over, and this is including the postseason. His first season, they were 5-5 in one-score games. That's understandable. A lot of, basically a rookie quarterback. That's fine. Then they go 4-3, then 9-1, 6-3, 10-3, 8-5, 12-0 this season through just 10 games. 0-5. Only 11 teams average more yards per rush than the Chiefs this season. Yet the Chiefs currently rank 22nd in rush attempts and 18th in rushing yards. Since 2024, this is including the postseason, because this is where we talk about the issues the Chiefs, I feel, are self-inflicted. This is including the postseason and all of 2024. The Chiefs are 6-0 when Kareem Hunt has 15-plus rush attempts. Here's the problem. Kareem Hunt hasn't had 15-plus rush attempts in a game since the AFC Championship last year against the Bills. Oh, they won that game, by the way. It's worth adding because I know everybody, when that stat went viral and the help of our guys, Farzine and other guys went out there and tweeted this out for me, I saw a lot of responses about this. They were saying, well, he was getting 15-plus rush attempts, Lance, because they're running the ball out. They were blowing teams out. Do you guys remember the narrative last season with the Chiefs and all those wins they had about how they couldn't blow teams out?
A lot of blowouts last year.
Yeah. Remember that narrative? They're like, yeah, the Chiefs are winning games and stuff, but they're not blowing anybody out. They're not winning convincingly. So when were these blowouts, Trev? Because according to my research here, 4 of those 6 wins that Kareem had those 15-plus rush attempts in, 4 of those 6 wins were one-score games.
And a lot of those games was Kareem Hunt icing the game by continuing the late drives to put the game away.
Including the 32-29 win in the AFC Championship against the Bills, the biggest win of the season.
They couldn't stop him.
So it wasn't as if Hunt was being fed at the end of blowouts.
Right.
He has to be more involved in this game moving forward if the Chiefs want to turn anything around, but do we have any belief that's going to happen? How about this one, Trevor? On the defensive side, our guy Ben Fennell on Twitter when it comes to the defensive struggles. Chiefs are allowing 70% completions on third down this year.
Yep.
32nd in the NFL. I don't know if you guys knew there's 32
That's
teams.
Almost unbelievable.
Spags, look at that. Look at that stat. Spags has never been above 60% in his 7 seasons with the Chiefs.
Unbelievable.
That's including those previous years we're talking about with the struggles they had and how, all these new faces and new players and new strategies. But what about just players that need to get more playing time on the defensive side? How about the guy they just traded up 10 spots for in the 3rd round, a guy that plays a position of need at cornerback named Noel Williams, who every time he's on the field seems to be doing something good? Well, how about we look at his defensive snaps played by week? This is according to Pro Football Reference. 0 snaps his first game of his career. 8, 19, 20, that's getting better. Oh, wait, went back down to 4. Then goes back up to 21, then 24. That's good. Oh, it goes back down to 8. And then week 9, 44 snaps. Oh, my God, they finally got it. So this obviously means things are good, right, Trev? No, you guys can't see it on the bottom of your screen. Week 10 against the Broncos, he played in a grand total of 0 snaps. This team does not make sense. Period, point blank. They do not make sense. There are stats that show they should be much better than the record indicates, but then you see these stats like this where it's like, oh, well, it makes sense that they're 5-5 because all this is self-inflicted. Every single loss this season has been the exact same loss. Stupid-ass turnovers, horrific schemes, lazy schemes, I might add, on both sides of the ball, and no energy. What have we been saying, Trevor, since the first 2 games out the gate when they're 0-2? It never felt like the Chiefs were outclassed, outmatched, even with guys missing. Rashee Rice is out, so obviously if you lose, it makes sense because your best receiver's gone. It didn't feel like, God, dude, like they were drastically missing Rashee Rice. It was more like they had the ball in the end zone and the ball got tipped up in an interception and went the other way, or a really bad pick 6, or just really bad schemes. Yeah. It never felt like, oh my God, they were just missing Josh Simmons so badly. It just felt like they just did not execute in the biggest moments.
It truly feels like we're truly fulfilling the Super Bowl hangover narrative.
100%.
This is a prime example because it doesn't matter how great you are. Sometimes it doesn't matter how, all the surrounding things, because no team at this, especially this time of year, is ever perfect. So us expecting to have everybody healthy, all the things we need all of our ducks in a row. No, we see shitty teams out here competing and delivering good offensive output. When they're down a quarterback, they're down offensive linemen, they're down all kinds of players, and they're still, Joe Flacco out here dealing it. There's no excuses, man. Like we just saw, we've seen Jacoby Brissett ball in the last few weeks. Granted, they haven't been winning a lot of games, but he's still balling. I mean, we just seen Bryce Young out here to have a career game. Right. You know what I mean? So like, what are we gonna do, man? Like, it's just I think the Super Bowl hangover narrative is existing right now, and it's on full display in my opinion, because on paper we still should be the team to beat. We're full strength. We got Patrick Mahomes, we got Andy Reid. Let's roll, baby. Got Travis Kelce having a great bounce back year compared to last year. He's on pace to obliterate his numbers from last year. He looks like prime Kelce this year. I mean, outside of like the lack of speed after the catch, but other than that, Kelce's been playing great. So what is it? So I know you pointed out the defensive numbers on third down, especially because overall our defense has been good as far as points allowed, but 3rd and 20, 3rd and 25, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 10. It's almost all you can. If you're live betting, just bet on the Chiefs to allow that first down. Yeah. You're gonna make bank all year. You know what I mean? So for me, man, this comes down to just situational football. I think Andy Reid has really shit the bed in several games this year. I think situational coaching has been really bad this year, especially on the offensive side, play calling and situationally when we need to extend drives. The play calling has just we've been getting way too cute, way too creative with things we don't even need to. When we know we have the dogs that can just play straight up football and just convert and keep the chains moving, we just try to we get in our own way. And that's honestly been a thing for Andy Reid his whole career. Honestly, as great as he is, that is one of his blind spots. Just kind of getting, kind of flexing a little too hard, trying to get a little too cute, and trying to do some smoke and mirror stuff that's just absolutely unnecessary. I think a lot of it is that with the defensive third down situation, and obviously, just us not being able to put games away or even look competitive a lot of times, man. Like you said, the attitude of this team is just very nonchalant, and I think a lot of that is the Super Bowl hangover, in my opinion. But the situational football has been a disaster.
And that's where you're making the best point about all this is that eventually, because we love to give the praise to the people that are the biggest reasons for this success they've had for the better part of a decade. It's because it's deserving. Like you have to give it to the people that have been the contingency, the ones that have been here throughout the entire process. But at the same time, there has to be equal criticism for them falling short when it would be one thing, and I said this on the 65 Toss Pirate Talk show on Tuesday. It would be one thing if this team, before the season started, let's say Andy Reid retired. Let's say Steve Spagnuolo maybe went and took a head coaching job elsewhere. Let's say Patrick Mahomes got hurt week 1. Yeah. We don't hold that expectation against them. We can't sit here and say, hey, man, you got to keep that rolling when something like that. No, because we understand there is context to those things. And when you lose a piece of that contingency, there's probably going to be that dip. It's going to happen.
Honest question, man. Why do you think the Chiefs just refuse to have a consistent running game?
Here's the biggest reason. I've thought about that all week because I knew that was going to be a big basis of our conversation.
I don't think there's a truly good answer.
That's the point. That's kind of what I'm warming up to right now. Well, I was probably already burning up, but to me, it's the stubbornness of Andy Reid wanting to, because we all know that Andy Reid wants to win. There's no question about that. But I also think that when you're somebody that's been coaching so long and you've been so successful in a way, and this is what's ironic about it, is that I think that Andy has become overly stubborn about we can win this way. Even though I know that we probably need to adjust and do things differently, let's just stick to our game plan. And that's what's so ironic, like I said, is the fact that Andy Reid has always been known to be that coach that will zig when everyone else is zagging. He'll construct things a little bit differently. He'll scheme things up a little bit differently. But what defenses are, Sean Payton said it himself at halftime in this last game. Yeah. He doesn't believe the Chiefs are a second half team. Well, most second half teams are teams that can run the ball. And he knew what we're going to do is everything the Bills did, everything the Eagles did, anybody else that stunted the Chiefs' offensive production at all at any point this season did the same things. They sat back in zone and they dared the Chiefs to play man ball. Yeah. To take the ball and run it up the fucking gut.
What's crazy is last year we were a second half team. This year we're a team that starts slow and is also not a second half team.
And why is that? Because last season, you know what the Chiefs did? They ran the fucking ball with Kareem Hunt. Now, I'm not sitting here, again, I know the response because I posted that stat chart, I got it several times. Kareem can't do that anymore. It's not in his ability. First of all, I disagree. Yeah. Because every time Kareem gets the ball this season, he's been more than effective.
Yeah, allow him to prove that he can't. And allow him to prove that he can't do it.
And Trevor, that's the big picture here. That's the big picture in all of this, is that I understand, guys, that the room as constructed is ass. we were saying that before the season. This is why I told you guys, remember I kept saying, don't get mad at the Chiefs about what they didn't do at the trade deadline. Be mad at what they did before the season. Because they didn't give Patrick Mahomes a good enough running game. That's on the Chiefs. But now that you have the bed you've made, use it. Because now what defenses are telling you literally in their game plan is, we do not believe you're going to run the ball. I mean, God damn it, Trevor. In this Broncos game, a game that was 6-6 at half, the Chiefs ran the ball a grand total of 13 times.
Back-to-back games, bro. The Bills game was honestly, in my opinion, the best game to just lean into the run.
Yes.
Look at the Bills have been allowing. They're one of the maybe the worst rush defense in football, bro.
No offense to Woody Marks here, but in the limited amount of
almost 80 yards,
exactly, the limited amount of rush attempts he got, he ran on that defense. Look at any
one of the worst O-lines in football. It's 70+ rushing yards.
Look at any game the Bills defense has been bad. It's been where? In their rush attack. They have not been able to stop the run this season. Yeah. And that was the point we drove home weeks ago when we were going into that Bills game. The Chiefs need to run the ball in this game, and they just did not do it.
Listen, bro, like I would have been fine even if we lost this game, but our offense was still able to move the ball well against that defense. And like say Rasheed still had a solid game statistically. We were still getting the ball, still getting our stars the ball. That didn't happen either. I know Kelsey is the one that had the good game. Yeah. Kelsey tends to have good games against the divisional foes, whatever.
It was a throwback.
Yeah. Sure. He looked great. But like Rasheed didn't do anything. Xavier Worthy has been non-existent now for 2 straight weeks, maybe more. It's basically most of the year he's been hit and miss. We're not even getting these guys the balls. We're not even getting these guys the ball quickly. Patrick Mahomes out there, it's just, there's no life to this offense, bro. And I do think leaning into the run, I understand too. Like, I understand that, like, for us that, like, anybody who plays like Madden and things like that, if you have Patrick Mahomes, you just want to sling it all day. I get it. Patrick Mahomes, the most impatient quarterback in football, in my opinion, always doing the finger wag for the next play, can't take a breath. He always has to, that's just how he is.
You call him an
adrenaline junkie, bro. He has that. He needs that dopamine nonstop all the time. He's always, why you always see him, he's always doing something, always talking. He's very rarely ever just taking it easy. He's just a competitor through and through. And we love that, but there is a dark side of that too. You know what I mean? He can kind of get ahead of himself, get a little too excited, which is why I believe he's been missing on some of these deep throws to Xavier Worthy. Some of it is Xavier Worthy as well. The communication just hasn't been there, but Pat's been pretty bad on the deep shots this year, man. So, like, I just think we need to really just kind of reel it in, play some straight-up football, allow Cream to run the ball, give Elijah Mitchell some chances to a few rushes, get Brashard Smith involved in the dink and dunk game. We haven't been really doing any of that. It's really, really frustrating. Like, I don't know. I think our offensive line has been good this year. It's giving Pat plenty of time. Pat has time to make plays, and he's just simply not doing it. And the play calling on top of that, paired with Patrick Mahomes kind of being indecisive, it's been lackluster. The play calling has been really bad, in my opinion, the last few weeks, especially just going away from the run. I really don't. That's why I asked you, like, why do you think the Chiefs aren't running the ball? I just think it is some guidance dependency. I think Andy Reid's won so much by doing this, and obviously the blind faith that we all have in Pat just to figure it out there and wing it and figure it out, the Brett Favre kind of thing. You know, he's going to figure it out. He's going to make a big play here. That's going to matter just the nick of time because we've done it so many times.
Right.
But now we're sitting here, and we have the best short yardage back and maybe the most efficient, runner in football when it comes to, just needing a first down. It's been Kareem Hunt all year, bro.
That's where I'm driving the point home about this has got to be the Chiefs have to own this shit type of thing because, again, it'd be one thing if we saw maybe even just one time in any of these losses where the Chiefs got shelled 34-10 and they just were outclassed, outmanned. It didn't look like they belonged on the field. That's a different discussion we'd be having here.
Yeah.
The discussion I'm having is why is it you keep losing the same damn way? And it's still the points you're bringing up is that the refusal to change because yes, you have won so much this certain way, but the NFL continues to evolve. And when you're the big dog, when you're the big dick on campus, everyone's gauging at you. Remember, we always say this as like a joking thing, but like the Chiefs are everyone's Super Bowl, right? That's the team. That's the game everyone marks on the calendar. That's why every time the Chiefs have a standalone matchup or an afternoon matchup, they get 20 to 50 million people to watch because everybody watches the Chiefs, whether you're watching to enjoy them or you're watching to hate them. It is the attraction of the NFL.
Yeah.
And so we know that everyone is gauging to figure out a way to beat you. So what teams stop doing is this. We need to get in panic mode and play into the Chiefs' trap and let them dictate games with their big plays. Instead, we all need to take a deep breath, do some goose frabas, and play some conventional football and make them panic themselves. And it has worked every single time. Why do you think? Because the biggest story in all of this isn't that the Chiefs are 5-5. It's the fact they're 0-5 in one-possession games when they won 16 straight one-possession games going into this season. What's the difference? Because for me, this is the biggest story of it all, Trevor. The 2024 and 2025 Chiefs and their glaring differences have proven that it is better to be flawed from a health and availability standpoint than flawed in a schematic and execution standpoint.
Yeah.
I would rather have players missing on this team than to have them all together and this team executing the way they're doing it.
Then you have a semblance of an excuse at that point.
Exactly.
But
they overcome those. For some reason, they can't overcome them fucking selves, and that's what's driving me insane. Maybe I'm all coffeeed up right now, but I've been pissed about this all damn week, dude, because there is no excuse for it. This team is, we went from EGE to LOL.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now, dude. Like, everybody's supposed to be eating in this offense, but they don't want to run an offense that's going to complement their quarterback and take the pressure off him from having to make those Mahomes magic type plays. Like, I always equate it to like LeBron or Steph. You know, sometimes even like teammates have admitted, dude, we just kind of sometimes sit back and just marvel.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, these guys are just special. And it almost takes away from the team aspect because you kind of lose your focus. You kind of lose yourself in the moment when you need to be locked in and ready to execute. If LeBron dumps one off to you and you're in the corner for a three, like a Kyle Korver or Steph Curry, you know, is going up and he's going to try to, get the attention of the defense, goes around a screen, hands it off to Klay Thompson. Like, you have to be engaged, just as engaged as they are, even though they're magicians. And I think that's what's happened with this team. And to your point, Trevor, about why Xavier Worthy, couldn't make those plays, but what's the issue there? Is it not fitting to you that the guy Tyquan Thornton, who was just a blessing in disguise this offseason, Chiefs just picked him up originally on their practice squad, worked his way up, is the one guy that has that deep field connection with Patrick Mahomes? Why is that? We can sit here and blame Patrick. We have the discussion about Patrick Mahomes not getting the ball to Xavier Worthy downfield.
Yeah.
But I heard Mitchell. Exactly, because I heard Mitchell Schwartz. I know I kind of alluded to we were watching the Bills game this week. I listened to Mitchell Schwartz talk this week on 965, and he said that watching it from his point of view, and again, this is a dude that played 11 years in the league, knows his shit. Mm-hmm. He said he thinks it was because of Xavier Worthy not accelerating early in that route on the first drive against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Because that play was originally scripted to get Travis Kelce open in the middle of the field and get him the ball, but he wasn't open.
He's almost too reliant on himself to like put the burners on when he needs to get there in place instead of just hitting the gas from the jump.
And another thing Mitchell said was, everybody always reminisces on, man, why is it like it used to be with Tyreek? Well, first of all, Tyreek's 1 of 1. Okay. Tyreek was one of the
best
I agree
weapons of all time.
I agree with Mitchell Schwartz when he says he's the greatest ball tracker the NFL has ever seen.
Especially for his size, bro. Him and Antonio Brown were great at that.
How many times did you see a ball that Patrick just chucked up? Remember the joke, F it. Yeah. Tyreek's down there somewhere.
Shit.
A lot of times that's
wasp play.
Yeah, a lot of times that was the case.
In the right place.
It wasn't that Patrick threw this amazing ball.
Right.
It's that he threw it up for Tyreek. You'll get a chance at it, and Tyreek would go and get it. Yeah. I saw it first and foremost when I saw 4th and 9 against the Ravens in 2018. Patrick's running for his life down to almost the sideline, just chucks it up, and Tyreek goes up and gets that bitch. That's the kind of plays they are missing because you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. And we knew that the moment they traded him away that you're going to have to change and evolve your offense. They just have not done that on a consistent enough basis. And the point I'm trying to make here, Jaron, why I think the majority of the blame falls on the coaching staff is because the Chiefs have failed to get back to the basics. I understand you want to, but remember I said at the beginning of the year, or I said that the reason I feel this offense has been so clunky this year is not because they've been missing pieces or any of that thing. It's because of the fact that they were chomping at the bit to get back to that high-flying style of offense, which I love too. We all love it. It's exciting. It's fun to watch, and it makes football that much more enjoyable. Yeah. But what was winning over these last 2 years? Let's look back, Trevor, at 2023, the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, when we saw Taylor Swift and Ice Spice hugging the shit out of each other when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. What was that final drive? How did that final drive go? This is the question I want to ask people, because this is what I went back and looked at this week to make sure that I wasn't tripping, because as I recall, it was a very fundamental drive that the Chiefs had to win that game. It's a very famous drive that we now look at because of the fact that it was a long drive. So here it is. These are the plays that they ran, Trevor, on that final drive to beat the San Francisco 49ers and McCole Hardman touchdown at the end. This is the plays. It was a run play, screen pass, run play, Mahomes run, short pass, short pass, short pass, screen pass, short pass. Mahomes run, screen pass, short pass. Did you hear anything on there about 45-yard gain, 58-yard throw? Nothing. It was a fluid, efficient, matriculated drive.
Yeah.
Now, you could say, well, the Chiefs had to do that back then. Well, you're probably right, because they just didn't have the firepower to do so. But they do have the firepower now, and that's not working.
Yeah, what's the excuse now, man?
So how about, I'm just throwing wild theories out here, how about you get back to that? Because that won you your last Super Bowl. I remember just the year before that when they won the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and it was a shootout. It was 38-35, but Patrick Mahomes had less than 200 yards passing, and they scored 38 points.
I'm cool with that.
Now, Nick Bolton did have a touchdown on a scoop and score, so that takes 7 off of it. But even with that, that's 31 points the offense scored. How did they score 31 points? They played efficient football.
They were taking what defenses were giving them.
Boom.
I refuse to accept that the Broncos just shut everybody down. I refuse to accept the fact that they shut Rashee Rice down.
Sure, were you impressed by the Broncos?
Rashee Rice plays a certain role to where he can't truly get shut down. It felt like we took him out of the game, and Pat wasn't like, dude, like he runs layup routes, you know, the quick in breakers, you know, inside slants, things like that. Those are things that he's winning those. We just weren't. I don't know, man. We weren't wanting to get the ball out quick. Pat would snap the ball, and he'd wait too long, and then again with the coaching too, situational play calling was horrible. That Brashard Smith 4th down call. Back shoulder to Brashard Smith on 4th down, like, dude, and he ran the route wrong too. Like, trusting him to make that play is just unacceptable. It's unacceptable, man. And like not getting no in routes, no pop passes to Xavier Worthy and see what he can do after the catch. We know how deadly that guy is with open field in front of him. Let these big boys up front block downfield. Let Travis Kelce block downfield. Let Juju Smith-Schuster, one of the better blocking receivers in the game, block downfield. He's the one that gets in other opponents' heads because he blocks them so vigorously.
Yeah.
Juju's great at that. Let these guys do what they do, man. We're not even, I don't know, the play calling has been, honestly, in my personal opinion, the play calling has been fucking awful in the last 2 games. The play calling against the Bills was unacceptable. It was a little bit better against the Broncos. We just weren't executing him properly. There was some really good play calling that just didn't happen. And that's a great defense. The Bills defense was awful, so there was no.
But still, only 13 rushes.
That was the worst game of the year.
Only 13 rushes against the Broncos is unacceptable.
Yeah, man, especially in a one-score game the entire time.
Yeah,
it was a one-score game the entire time, and we ran the ball 11, 12 times?
13 times.
13 fucking times, bro. It's if they go out there and do the exact same thing, and even if we do pull out the win against the Colts, and we do the exact same type of shit, no new wrinkles, no 20, 25 rushes maybe, nothing is different, dude. I'm just gonna put my hands up and just hope we make the playoffs this week.
And that's what I'm at. I wanted to bring that up because and DMAC will be here in just a minute, guys. So I'm really excited to get his thoughts on some of these things. And obviously we got to talk about this massive game coming up this Sunday against the Colts. I would feel better about the Chiefs if they got blown out a couple times this season, but situationally they won every time. Does that make sense? Like, I would much rather that I would swap the way the season's gone this season. Like, even if they have the same exact record, hear me out on this. If the Chiefs were 5-5, but instead of blowing out the Raiders and blowing out the Lions, they squeaked out a victory against the Eagles. They squeaked out a victory against the Bills. They squeaked out a victory against the Chargers, and they lost to the Lions. Let's say it was 30-17 Lions. I would feel better about that team than this team. Because, again, what's always been the saving grace for the Chiefs is that, you know, if they get the ball at the end, they're getting the job done. Patrick Mahomes has been the most clutch quarterback in the history of this league.
Yeah.
But that has been gone. And that's why I'm more worried than I've ever been as a Chiefs fan in this Mahomes era. I've never been this concerned about this team. It's not even just the record. It's how the record was earned, because they have earned this record. It's not like, well, they just had such a tough schedule and all these guys have been hurt. That's not the reason.
Yeah, and all this would be a lot easier to accept, too, if, like, listen, this is still a team that's coming off their 3rd straight Super Bowl trip, which any other fan base would be chomping at the bit to have that. Do you even say that, right? Here we are sitting being critical of this team, but it's rightfully so, because this isn't a situation where this team's, yes, coming off their 3rd straight Super Bowl after getting blown out in the third trip, going from that three-peat and failing massively in front of the masses. But this team is better on paper this year.
Yeah.
This is a better opportunity to bounce back and prove everybody wrong, and maybe make our 4th trip back to Super Bowl But this team is far better, far healthier. We have a legitimate left tackle, in my opinion, who was absent, so that is an excuse slightly. But the fill-in was playing great most of the time there. So there's no real excuse. That's what's frustrating about this. There's no true excuse. Everyone was ready for the decline of Kelsey. Kelsey's been balling this year. We're 5-5. The best offensive weapon in Chiefs history is balling this year, and we're 5-5. It's unacceptable. And the defense on paper is good. We haven't allowed too many points. But the third downs, the inconsistency situationally for our coaching staff, the play calling on the offensive side has been so up and down. Pat has been great in several games this year, but he's also been really bad and really in his own head. You know, and I think maybe the MVP narrative, Pat really wanted to get that MVP this year. I don't play into that too much, but maybe that's something as well. Just a lot of indecisiveness and just bad situational decisions. Man.
And let me say this too, also, because I don't want people to come to think that I'm at least saying, I don't want to speak for you. I don't want people to think that I'm coming across saying that I don't want to see the Chiefs try to take the top off of defense.
No, you have to.
You have to. But here's the thing: you have to set it up.
You have to keep trying to take the top off defense. It's just like you got to keep taking the run game.
Right.
You still got to run the ball.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
You need both.
Even with the Chiefs having deficiencies at running back, they still have to run the damn ball.
It's the jab.
What's the point, Trevor, about like all the conversations we've had about the run game throughout the years of they haven't had these great prolific running backs, but they still respected it enough to make the defense respect
has to have the jab, baby. You got to have a jab on you. You got to be able to set those up. You got to set those haymakers up. Man.
I'll say this before we get to our guest here, and I'm really looking forward to this. Period, point blank. The final line that I'm going to say on this rant. It's time for the best head coach in the NFL to do his job. He's got to start setting his team up for success before and during the game. Enough is enough. I don't want to hear this, I didn't do a good enough job. We didn't come out with enough energy shit.
They wanted it more.
Do better, Andy. Do better. We have all tirelessly defended him, tirelessly given him credit for, I think he's the best head coach of our generation, maybe ever. I think Andy could go down as that, but he cannot get stale and stubborn. He cannot do that. If that's the case, you might as well, and we saw the documentary series, him and his beautiful wife are on the beach, just sitting there looking out into the gaze. You might as well just do that then, bro. Because if you're not going to get with the times and respect your own offense because defenses aren't respecting your offense, then that's how it's going to end, dude. You're going to end with an abject failure of a season. I'll say this too, and I'm going to get DMAC's thoughts on this as well. If the Chiefs don't make the playoffs this year, this is the greatest failure I have ever seen in NFL history. There has never been another team this talented with that great of a quarterback, with that great of a head coach, with all these things all together and missing the playoffs outright. You cannot name me a team that's done it. This would be the greatest failure I have ever seen in my lifetime in the NFL if the Chiefs don't get this. So no pressure or anything. It's just that's how it goes. But you know what? Enough of my, mumbo jumbo over here, guys. We need to get to a guy that actually knows what the hell he's talking about. A guy that I respect vehemently, a dude that's a great follow on Twitter. He breaks down film really well. He has great debates and conversations on his own show over the Kingdom Cast and does several other shows. He does a lot of other work, does spaces on Twitter as well. This is just a good dude, man, a guy that I like to have on the show. We haven't had him in a long time, but it's long overdue. Let's give it up for the one, the only, DMAC WAKEFIELD. What's up, DMAC?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing, man?
Oh, bro.
Better now, dude. Better now that we got you on the show because we need you to kind of reel us in. Because I'm, dude, I've spent all week trying not to be pissed off, and I'm pissed off. I'm not liking what's happening out here, D-Mac, and I need you to explain some things. And you know what? We need the honesty. I don't want you to try to sugarcoat anything, and that's why I have you on the show today, because I know you're not the dude that's going to sugarcoat shit. You're going to tell us the truth. You're going to tell us how it is. I start this show off today by explaining why the Chiefs are 5-5. They've turned everything around from being the team that can always win those one-possession games to being the team that's losing all these one-possession games, and it's all self-inflicted. Not one single time this year have the Chiefs been outmatched, outclassed, where they just look like the worst team on the field. They didn't belong out there. It's been their opportunities that they have squandered. They've admitted this themselves. What I'm sick of, though, is hearing about it. I want them to be about it. I want them to prove to us what they are, and it starts right now. I wish it started 2 weeks ago. I wish it started a month ago. But they don't have a lot of time left, man. They're really up against it, and I'm getting really worried about this team. DMAC, these last two games were absolutely pivotal games, and the Chiefs averaged 20 points per game, and they went 0-2. What the hell are the Chiefs?
Oh, good question. I mean, the Chiefs are a frustrating team if you're a fan of this team. The Chiefs are a good team that is situationally very poor. And normally, when you have a team that has failed in as many big moments, whether it is giving up consistent third and longs in key moments, or obviously not being able to convert, or having two drives at the end of a game to either tie the game or take the lead or put the game away, would you have those opportunities and you're consistently not showing up in those aspects, or you're consistently having a whole bunch of penalties, certainly as far as the special teams unit is concerned, situationally poor as far as the special teams unit is concerned as well, then you're going to look at the coach. That is the way that this kind of goes. You say, hey, the talent in this roster is better than it is last year. I fully do believe it. They are healthier than they were last year. I think they have all the ingredients necessary to be a much better team than 500 at this point in the season. They have just come up small in a lot of big moments. And ultimately, you go on the road to the Bills, you lose a game in which that it felt like it was out of your control early on, in which you didn't come out the right way. But you claw your way back into it, had some opportunities to try and figure it out. And ultimately, you don't get the job done because of the situational aspects of it. The fact that you go into the bye week and don't come out of the bye week with a different level of game plan is the most disappointing aspect of it. For the majority of this season, I'm like, okay, this team has been able to consistently be able to move the ball at a high level. Obviously, we saw the stretch of games in which they were able to dominate some bad defenses specifically. And then as you got closer and closer to these last two games, you're like, okay, this is the time in which versus the Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos, not even looking ahead to the Colts, of saying, hey, this is where you can really put the pedal to the metal and prove that you're ready to make a playoff run. And instead, the worst aspects of the previous games came back at the wrong times and were ultimately bit you as being able to lead to losses. So that's the most frustrating aspect of it. I trust this coaching staff almost inherently because they have proven it in the past, whether Steve Spagnuolo making the right adjustments at the right times, obviously him being able to put together playoff game plans when they need to. Andy Reid, who we always have respected as one of the best offensive minds in the National Football League, and they just haven't lived up to that standard to this point. And there was a Colts, I think, reporter that put out a graphic as far as, a little icon showing where exactly the Chiefs and Colts match up at various positions, obviously quarterback, running back, etc. And they got down to the coach one, and it was Kansas City, right here, and the Colts right there. And I couldn't argue it because the coaching staff has not proven to be one of the elite coaching staffs in the National Football League this year with the way that they have designed these game plans and set them up for success. And so that's probably the most disappointing aspect of the season so far is the lack of trust in the coaches, in which they have let us down in a lot of ways leading into these games.
I told our viewing audience here for weeks, the buildup of the trade deadline coming up, and it came and it went. Chiefs did obviously nothing, and everybody was so pissed off. And I kept telling people, and I kept pushing back on it. I said, guys, don't be mad about what the Chiefs didn't do at the trade deadline. Be mad about what they didn't do during the offseason. I didn't think they did nearly enough at the running back position. I don't think they obviously did enough at the defensive line position, even though I know they took multiple picks at edge and interior with Omar Norman-Lott and Ashton Gillotte. But Charles Omenihu, was he going to be a guy that can earn himself another contract, or is that knee going to be too much for him to overcome? There was a lot of questions, that they saw the contract given to Mike Dana, albeit the money as like $8-9 million a year. So that's basically a high end backup at that point. So that's not like big money, but they paid George Karlaftis a decent amount of money, not a lot, like $18 million a year if you really look at it in a stretch. But what I'm basically saying is I think that the Chiefs didn't do enough from Brett Veach's perspective at those two positions, and you're seeing that kind of pay dividends negatively for this team in the end result. And my issue, though, with the Chiefs offensively, and I want to start there primarily, is even if the Chiefs were to make a trade for a guy like Breece Hall, and everybody wanted that, and I love that on paper as well, but we know, one, they'd have to pay him because this is end of his rookie deal. You're not making a trade and giving up a third-round pick for a guy you're not going to pay. You're only going to use it for 8 to 10 games. Right. But also, the Chiefs don't use running backs. Let's just call it what it is, dude. I mean, in a game that was 6-6 at halftime against the Broncos, a game you need to win. No matter how it looks, how it feels, you got to get that dub. They ran the ball 13 times. And I brought up a stat, I don't know if you saw it or not, but in games since 2024, with the postseason included, when Kareem Hunt has 15-plus rush attempts, the Chiefs are 6-0. But the problem is they haven't had him have 15-plus rush attempts since the AFC Championship when they won 32-29 against the Buffalo Bills. Now, people say, oh, it's the Chiefs, they just ran the ball out because they're blowing teams out. I don't know about you, DMAC, but I remember the whole conversation being, the Chiefs won 15 games, and they weren't winning convincingly. So clearly what blowouts they had, 4 of those 6 games that they won with Kareem running the ball 15-plus times were one-possession games. So I say all that in the most long-winded way to say everything to me is self-inflicted, and I think it all started from the beginning of the year. Do you see it the same way, DMAC?
I do believe it's self-inflicted. I think that the offensive side of the ball, and as it pertains to the Breece Hall conversation of it all, and I put out a tweet specifically, right after the trade deadline of saying this team should not have been a Breece Hall, away from making the playoffs. Now you talk about what the ceiling is as far as the Super Bowl is concerned. Fair to have that conversation. I personally saw it as I'm not giving up a 3rd-round pick for a guy that I've got to pay. That's just over-indexing on the position, especially a non-premium one that usually does not work out well when you look at other examples across the league. But to your point, the issue is not, and again, you talk about floor and ceiling as far as offensive unit. The offensive unit has a good floor to it, even while it has its struggles. The ceiling of it is they're not doing the schematic things that you look at the best offenses around the National Football League are taking advantage of. They don't do those on a consistent basis. You look at Sean McVay, who I think everybody would universally say is the best offensive mind in football, him or Shanahan, but we'll take McVay for this. McVay going into this season was a consistent 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver. We're going to be able to take advantage of a defense, whether they want to go nickel or base. We're going to do the thing that they're weak at and attack accordingly. You know what he's done this year? Been one of the leaders as far as 13 and 12 personnel because he has multiple tight ends, and he recognizes that's where defenses are weak at in the current NFL. He has made that adjustment to his scheme because he recognizes that's what's necessary to win. That is the most frustrating thing looking at what Andy Reid has come into the season with. You have multiple tight ends that can go out there. Don't get me wrong. Noah Gray has limitations. Tunyon, obviously, we got excited during the preseason. He has limitations. We know Jared Wiley's been inactive, but Travis Kelce's been a revelation as far as a bounce back season from him. You have the tight ends to do these sorts of things. Guess what? This team is 2nd in EPA per play under center rushing the ball. I'm not even talking about what they can do passing the ball. Rushing the football under center, they are 2nd in EPA per play. When they want to do it, because this offensive line, Creed, who you paid a lot of money to, Trey, who you paid a lot of money to, Kingsley, who you moved over from left tackle, and what was a really good move to believe in him because he has been very good at left guard. Josh Simmons has been excellent when he's in there, and even Jalen Moore when he's filling in. Jawan Taylor been fine as far as right tackle, and obviously the penalties aside from that, just the play. This offensive line can move people when they're moving forward, and that's why you get a Mitchell Schwartz going on Twitter and saying, hey, guys, stop running shotgun RPOs, get under center, and allow your offensive linemen that want to dominate the line of scrimmage to do so. And they refuse to do that. That is the frustrating thing. It would be one thing if we're dealing with an offensive line, obviously from the 2020 Super Bowl or near the end of the 2021 season, where you're like, hey, they just don't have it. They have it. They have the guys necessary to do it, and they just refuse to get to it. And that's the most frustrating aspect as far as that is concerned. So, yes, a better running back absolutely raises the ceiling of some of these things. It creates more explosive runs. They've been, obviously bottom of the league as far as that aspect is concerned. But guess what? They have a historically low run stuff rate, which is runs for 0 or 1 yards. They are literally one of the best in the modern time since 2000 at not allowing those type of runs, which is to tell you this offensive line blocks things up the way that it needs to get blocked up. And you could get consistent 4 or 5 yards per carry like you saw Kareem Hunt obviously do versus the Denver Broncos. And they're just refusing to do so. And it's incredibly frustrating to watch.
I need to get your thoughts on what the hell is going on with Xavier Worthy. I know he's been injured. I'm not trying to crucify the kid when I know he's dealing with multiple injuries. He's got an ankle problem that's just lingering, and obviously he's got one damn healthy labrum. So we know there's going to be context to it. Mm-hmm. But damn, man, I remember everybody telling me, and for the record, I wasn't stoked about the pick. I know the kid is insanely talented, insanely fast, but I was so concerned about one, he's so damn little weight-wise. Mm-hmm. I think he's $170 right now at most. That's always scary, and I know you kind of alluded to that on Twitter about, being nervous every time you see him on the field and seeing things that could potentially happen that may not happen but could happen. What's not happening, though, is I'm not seeing the explosiveness. I'm not seeing – and you saw early in the game the Chiefs try to get him going, but you brought up Mitchell Schwartz. Everybody just assumed that Patrick made a terrible throw on that ball, but if you really look at the play, and I know you have, it was a scheme play for Kelce to be wide open. That didn't happen. So the second read was obviously trying to get the ball downfield to Xavier Worthy, and it looked like Xavier kind of slowed down a little bit on the initial out. and then he tried to make up for it with his abundant speed, and it just didn't connect. And the reason why I think it may be more of an Xavier Worthy problem is that on the flip side, we're seeing a guy that in his first season with the Chiefs and Tyquan Thornton is beautifully connecting with Patrick all season long down the field. I mean, they have made their connection known, and it's because Tyquan has been able to run his routes a little bit more consistently, a little more crisp, a little bit more, 100% the whole way down the field. But you know the film better than I do, man. What are you seeing? Like, why is this not working between these two? This is a guy they traded up for in the first damn round in a draft that was loaded with receivers. They obviously believed he was the guy, but he's not become that guy yet. We're not seeing it. What is going on?
I think the most frustrating thing as far as Xavier Worthy is concerned is, again, coming back to the usage. But I want to hit on that deep ball point specifically, because I'd love to sit here and say there's a magical elixir to all of these issues. I think that the best chance that they have at that right now is Tyquan Thornton for what he's been able to show, really more so at the catch point, even so Mahomes has missed on some balls to Tyquan Thornton. I thought the one early in the game to the Broncos, Tyquan Thornton actually looks up too early, and this is going to be a mixed analogy. But in baseball, when you're an outfielder, you are taught run to the spot and then go and find the ball when you have the chance to do so. Because if you're looking up the ball, it's very difficult to maintain your speed. I think that he looked up a little bit early after he had stacked the DB on that first one, but ultimately he made the adjustment and was able to make the one deeper into the game. So when you look at all of these kind of missed shots, it's sometimes Mahomes lays it out a little bit too far. Sometimes Mahomes makes a misread in that aspect of it. Sometimes Xavier Worthy is slowing down, or sometimes, and this was more of in the Chargers game, the first one, Tyquan Thornton bent it a little bit towards the safety, and he should have kept going up the seam, and that would have resulted in a touchdown early in that game too. So it's little things here and there as far as the deep ball. It's not necessarily a magical fix as far as that aspect is concerned. But one thing I want to get to is Mahomes is about league average, above average, as far as on-target percentage when it comes to the deep ball, which is to say you're not necessarily going to convert all of those things. I think that they're hitting them at an okay rate. Could it be better? 100%. But it's okay for where they're kind of at as far as an offense. The Xavier Worthy point. I think that he is limited, obviously, whether it's the ankle or the shoulder. Now, obviously, that comes to the play of, hey, this is a slider build wide receiver. You knew that going in and you invested in that. That's something you're going to have to deal with as long as you continue to keep him on this roster. I am disappointed in the usage aspect of it. This team has not created enough intermediate area targets for either of those wide receivers, particularly Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy, in my personal opinion. You look at the best offenses across the National Football League, they understand that the middle of the field is where you're going to continue to eat. It's not necessarily outside the numbers on a consistent basis. You see teams specifically like the Detroit Lions, the way that they use their slider build, slender Jameson Williams type of attack guy is in that intermediate areas where it's, kind of those big crossers, being able to attack that way, get in behind the linebackers as well. But when you have a wide receiver that can attack the space of a defensive back and get on his toes that quickly, any type of break that he does off of it is going to create space. And we saw this earlier in the year, in which that one that you remember kind of in the middle of the season, Xavier Worthy goes up, stacks the DB, and immediately turns back. And he has to double catch it because Mahomes puts it immediately on him when he comes out of the break. But he catches it, and it's a nice chunk gain. Those types of things are the areas in which Xavier Worthy, when he was in college at Texas, was consistently breaking defensive backs off of on that aspect. So, and we're obviously talking about SEC defensive backs. We're not talking about guys from the MAC-10, with all due respect to the MAC. But he has the ability to do those things. I saw it in college. He is a good route runner from that perspective, and the speed affords him the ability to really put defensive backs in a difficult circumstance. So I think they need to emphasize more of obviously Tyquan Thornton down the field, and you can still give him some of those deeper targets. But whether it's Rashee Rice, who is running far too many Deebo Samuel out of the backfield type of insane things. We all saw the screenshot, obviously, of him at the running back position, Kareem Hunt lined up at wide receiver in a 13 personnel set, which was maddening to see. You have to use these guys as real wide receivers. And again, this is an Andy Reid philosophy of getting guys into space rather than necessarily relying on them to be able to beat their man. But guess what? Teams are going to run man coverage versus you from here on out because they don't believe in them versus the zone as far as that aspect is concerned. So you have to use these wide receivers as real wide receivers in the intermediate areas of the field, and they have the talent to do so. And it's frustrating that they're not using them in that way.
Not to continue to harp on the offensive side of thing, but I mean, damn, dude, it's concerning. Yeah. I don't expect Andy Reid to change. I think that he is unfortunately very set in his ways. And again, I think that's been shown and proven time and time again, even in this season, in a time when they need to make some changes, they need to make some adequate changes, and they're not doing it, and that is concerning to me. But I need to get your forecast, man, of what's going to happen with this offense moving forward. Because, again, they have this big matchup that I want to get into in just a second. How do they remedy this? Because I don't expect the Chiefs just to start giving Kareem Hunt the ball 20 times a game. I don't anticipate that. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I don't anticipate it based on the 10-game sample size that we've seen so far this season. I think that you're what you're saying about them, Andy Reid's philosophy of just, getting guys in space as opposed to having them beat their man is going to continue. And I think you're also on the flip side going to continue to see defenses strategize against the Chiefs the same exact way every damn week. You heard Sean Payton literally say it. They're not a second-half team because second-half teams run the ball. So what are you going to do? Defenses are going to continue to drop in zone, dare you to run the ball, and I don't know if Andy's going to change that. Do you think that's going to be the ultimate detriment to the Chiefs not getting to the place they expected to be, or they were hoping to be, a fourth consecutive Super Bowl appearance? Do you think it's going to be their own doing, which would be very on brand on what's happened so far this season?
It would be, absolutely. It's difficult to forecast what happens with this team because what the offensive adjustments are necessary to do. But as you said, Andy Reid is Andy Reid, and I don't expect that all of a sudden to change in the middle of the season. That is probably going to end up being a massive offseason conversation that needs to happen about changes on the offensive coaching staff, change on the entire coaching staff as well, but specifically focusing on the offensive one. And so as far as what they can do, yeah, they can get under center, run more of the things that we see them do on a consistent basis, run some of the play action shots plays that they've been able to, but you have to marry it with a consistent run game that actually threatens the defense. When you line up on a 3rd and short, have Kareem Hunt out there just so you have that threat in general, and they don't line up anybody in the A gap and the linebackers are 5 yards off the ball, run the ball. Just run the ball. And actually, because defenses have no respect for them being able to do so, and they're not going to respect it. So take advantage of the fact that they're going to continue to disrespect you on that aspect of it. So there are little tiny things that you can do, a little bit more, like I said, a little bit more heavy personnel to be able to attack some of the linebacker mismatches that you can create as far as that room is concerned. That would help some. Obviously, being able to use Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy as real wide receivers. Now, there may be limitations with Worthy's injury, which is fair to say, but it's not like you're short on wide receivers. Hollywood Brown can beat man coverage. We know Tywan Thornton has continued to beat man coverage. Rashee Rice can beat man coverage. You just have to allow them to do those sorts of things on a consistent basis. So there are those tiny personnel tweaks that they need to get back to and a little bit less of the RPO type of stuff. Are they going to do it? I don't know. That this is all going to be about, hey, is Andy Reid going to be able to change mid-season in a way that we haven't seen him before? Now, the reality of the situation is, as far as getting to where they are, I'm not even thinking about trying to get to the Super Bowl because that's a totally different, conversation about them. This is about, hey, can you stay alive as far as this playoff race is concerned? And we'll get into in a bit. But this Colts game is massive for your playoff, chances as far as that is concerned. And these changes have to start this week because you're going up against a offense, in my opinion, that has all the answers to get after your defense. So they're going to put up points. You're going up against a defense that obviously has Travaris Ward coming back with Sauce Gardner and Kenny Moore. So they have the defensive backs that they feel comfortable about leaving in man coverage with a little bit of help to be able to cut some of the crossing aspects of it. Can you create those things that are necessary to put up the offensive points to score more than the Colts? You're going to have to make that adjustment as an offensive coaching staff, and we'll see if they're up to the task.
Moving to the defensive side of things, and I think it's just as interesting because they're led by a guy that I think is the best at what he's done ever. I think that Steve Spagnuolo, if I could choose one defensive coordinator, if I'm starting up a team, I'm picking Spags because I've seen this man take lesser talented units and make the most out of them. And I expect that from every single year, and I think he's still got it. But the issue is I think the lack of pass rush is starting to affect his weekly game plan. They're currently on pace to have 34 sacks this year. That would be the lowest they've had since 2021, which ironically to me is the most similar season to 2025, where they just didn't feel right. The vibes were off, and they were getting beat a lot on defense, and they started to regroup as the season went on, but it didn't take them 10 games. It took them about 7, and they started to really recalibrate things. But if you look at the stat chart, we can put that back on the screen real quick so DMAC can see it. This is from Ben Fennell. The Chiefs are allowing 70% completions on 3rd down this year, which is dead last in the NFL. And Spags has never been above 60% in his 7 seasons with Kansas City. Now, you can say that's coincidental. I don't. I think it's because of what we talked about a minute ago. I think, the lack of execution in the offseason to add pass rush, legitimate edge rushers, a 3-tech guy, confusingly moving off Mike Pennell early in the year. Even though he's not a real needle mover, he's a solid presence. And I just feel like the Chiefs did not execute this offseason to give Spags more there. And now I think it's really starting to cost them. But I also think it's because they're not playing Noel Williams enough. I don't know if you've seen his snap counts. We can put that on the screen real quick for DMAC, Trevor. This is unacceptable behavior. This is a guy you trade up 10 spots for in the 3rd round. A ball hawk, a legitimate difference maker. We know this defense does not get enough turnovers as it is, but the one guy that can give you that X factor, you're not playing consistently. I mean, look at that. And you can't even see on the bottom of the screen. He goes from 44 snaps to 0?
0.
That doesn't make sense to me, DMAC. It doesn't make any damn sense to me, dude. And I think it's a Spags thing, but it's also a Veach thing. It's this cluster F of just abject failure, man, from guys that we expect better from, dude. And again, if they didn't come into the season with Super Bowl aspirations and expectations, we're not having this conversation. But they did. And up to the freaking Bills game, they were the Super Bowl favorites. So forgive me for holding them to that standard. What the hell is happening with Spags' defense this year, man?
Yeah, so I want to I'm gonna hit on the Noel Williams point because I think it is indicative, unfortunately, of the hubris that this coaching staff has operated with over the last few years, but specifically this year, and how it's come back to bite them. For you to go into the bye week, and we haven't obviously seen much of Christian Fulton outside of that first game for the entirety of the season, and for you to come out of the bye week and say, hey, this is the game that has the AFC West chances for us on the line, and we're going to insert him and play him heavy snaps and sit down the cornerback, a rookie cornerback that had come in and played very well for us on the outside. And you see how well that worked out. It is nothing but pride and just arrogance to feel like that move is going to end up working in your favor. And obviously they paid the price for it in the way in which the Broncos were able to attack them in the secondary. So unfortunately, that makes sense to me. And logically, that's what happened. They thought that they were so great and genius and ahead of the curve that they were going to save Christian Fulton for this massive game to be able to put him out there. And ultimately, they got burned by that decision. But I like the defensive line conversation because, as you mentioned, it's the Veach and it is the Spags and the push and pull between that aspect of it. And this goes back years at a time. The 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴 pick. That pick had extenuating circumstances that had around it. But you got a kid out of K-State that was explosive as far as what he could do from because he was playing a little bit of odd front edge. But he was an explosive athlete. He was asked to bulk up a little bit so that he could play in Spags' scheme. And ultimately, we never really saw that explosion come back for him as far as that is concerned throughout his thing. So that's a first-round pick that you never were able to recoup value on. You go throughout that 2023 and 2024 offseason specifically, there was a guy out there who had a pretty good game on Thursday Night Football who would have cost you about the contract numbers that it would have been Mike Dana and Drew Tranquill put together that you could assign to be our edge next to George Karlaftis, especially Danielle Hunter. You could have gone out and got him if you wanted to get him, but you chose to instead have Drew Tranquill get a larger contract, keep Mike Dana at the number that you wanted to have him at. And I just didn't like either one of those moves. Mike Dana obviously has not performed to the level that you wanted him to. And you asked Drew Tranquill again to bulk up because you wanted him to play more snaps instead of keeping him as a rotational coverage guy with a more athletic will linebacker. And that has hurt him the last 2 years because he hasn't been nearly the coverage backer that he was in 2023 when this defense was elite. Combine that with Charles Omenihu never coming back from his 2023 form after the ACL tear. And you're talking about Tershawn Wharton, who was really good for this team in 2024 and also in 2023 as a rotational player going on to the Carolina Panthers and having a solid year for them too. You've just lost too much on the defensive line, and the assets that were meant to be put back into this team to be able to help, mitigate that, whether it is obviously, the whole Derek Notty's fiasco, trading for Joshua Uche last year, who could have helped your four-man pass rush that was non-existent throughout the back half of the season, but Steve Spagnuolo refused to play him and get anything out of him as a situational pass rusher. And then obviously the Omar Norman-Lott pick, which in my opinion, I loved Omar Norman-Lott because he was exactly what this team needed. A guy that you could put out there on second and third down to be the chaos creator, penetrating guy that is going to take advantage of one-on-one matchups. And he did that very well for Tennessee in a rotational role. What do? You go out there, ask him to add 30 pounds, get bigger. He gets hurt during preseason and ultimately blows out his knee. And I'm not saying that is directly responsible, but hey, when you have an athlete that's asked to put on a lot of weight and then asked to do things that he hasn't done before, usually that's how guys get hurt. And so now you're taking about a bunch of these assets, first round pick in Felix, second round pick in Omar Normalot. I didn't necessarily love the Ashton Gillotte pick, but even so, he's been admirable as far as being able to try and help out in this edge rotation. Investing in Mike Dana, obviously the Drew Tranquil thing, obviously the Nick Bolton contract, which has limited you in some of the flexibility as well, but it's a Spags guy. The George Kalafdis investment, who he's gotten a little bit better. I thought he had a good game versus the Broncos too. And all of those assets go pretty much coming up snake eyes as far as being able to help out this defensive line has resulted way too much in the over-reliance on Chris Jones, who has tried his best throughout this year while getting double and triple team and covered and key moments. And they just don't have anybody else to be able to help them out. And so it's somewhat Veach, I think, missing on some of those picks. I think it is a lot of Steve Spagnuolo getting some of the talent and then not doing the right things and developing some of that talent as well, and the limiting aspects of what they can scout as far as bringing in talent too. So the defensive line, like you said, it's a combination of issues for both of them. But the reality situation is this is just simply a defensive line that can't affect quarterbacks. And that's how you get quarterbacks completing 70% of passes on third downs, because they're comfortable. Bo Nix was sitting back there in the pocket, having no issues being able to dissect the defense. And usually that's the biggest thing that always mitigates this. Steve Spagnuolo, because that number has been so low, even with the times in which this team hasn't been able to rush the passer, which has happened throughout his time here, he's been able to dial up the blitz to be able to get this team off the field when he needs to. And they just are not getting pressures on those unblocked blitz looks this year that they have in the past. And that's the thing that is weakened. Steve Spagnuolo can't get it with 4, and even when he blitzes, he's not getting home to affect the quarterback. And ultimately, that's killed the Chiefs defense. And I know some of the stats are still in their favor, but you just watch this team on a consistent basis. They're not being able to take good offenses off the field whenever they need to.
Very well said. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites as it currently stands against the Indianapolis Colts this Sunday. And I'm going to be honest with you, DMAC, I don't really know how.
I don't either.
It's not because I'm some big believer in the Colts. I think Jonathan Taylor probably is the MVP right now. Maybe Matt Stafford. We can have that discussion. Maybe even Drake May sneaks into it. We'll talk about that another time. But the fact is, the Chiefs have not played good enough, especially against AFC opponents, to get that kind of respect. Vegas obviously respects them. Pretty much all the media, which is weirdly enough, when they were 15-2 last season, they weren't getting this respect, but somehow at 5-5, they're getting all the respect. I'm going to give my thoughts in a little bit on this show with what I think is going to happen in this game. But to say I'm concerned is to put it mildly, because this is their season, in my opinion. I think this game is going to determine what happens this season. If they don't win this game, the real conversation of the Chiefs missing the playoffs is more than real. In fact, it's tangible. They win this game, they can turn things around. In my personal opinion, I think the AFC West is over. I think the Broncos are going to win it. I don't think the Chiefs have put themselves in nearly a good enough position for that to happen. Could they win out? Maybe the Broncos lose a few games? Sure. That's going to take a lot because the Broncos don't have a very difficult schedule. There's a lot to ask for a team that has won, I think, 3 games in a row this season. It was the longest streak the Chiefs have had to win 6 in a row. I don't think that's going to happen. But are they a playoff team? I think currently they could be, and I think they ultimately will be. But this is the game that's going to determine what happens here and there. And I need to see the Chiefs prove it to me that they can get it done against a team that's good enough. You look at Daniel Jones. He's been solid this season. I think he's been a tad overvalued. I think Shane Steichen's made the most of him. He's had a turnover problem of late. Jonathan Taylor has clearly been their wagon. Their defense is coming to this game banged up with DeForest Buckner being out, which is a massive loss. I feel a lot better about this matchup with him gone. But again, it doesn't matter about availability to me, because last week the Broncos were without the 5th leading rusher in the league in J.K. Dobbins and maybe the best defender in the league in Pat Surtain, and it didn't matter. So I'm not even looking at the availability aspect of this game. I'm not looking at, whether the Colts have this edge or that edge. I'm looking at this as, do the Chiefs get it done? Because they're at home. They're a dynasty. Do they get it done? They're healthy. They're healthy enough. Xavier Worthy and Kingsley should play in this game. Rashid's back. Josh Simmons is back. There's no damn excuse here. But I need to get your viewpoint on this, because it doesn't matter what I think right now. We got you on the stage. I need to know from you, how the hell is this game going to go, brother?
Yeah, so on DMW Sports, which is kind of my solar thing, where I look at all entire sporting world, but obviously NFL as a whole. If I was going to be attacking this as a objective observer, I would look at the ways in which the Colts have been able to perform as a better team throughout the season and say, I don't understand why the Chiefs would be home favorites by -3.5. I don't get it. It's a belief that the Chiefs can flip a switch or turn back a clock and find the little small adjustments that end up making the big differences in those key moments to be able to change those things in a ways that they haven't throughout the entirety of the season, particularly obviously versus AFC opponents, and obviously versus current non-playoff teams as far as that aspect is concerned. So you look at the Colts and Chiefs matchup, there are little ways in which the Chiefs can get after them. The Colts have struggled as far as defending the run. We've obviously talked about that previously. So I think that they can have another successful day as far as that aspect is concerned. The linebacking core is not that good, so you can get over them, get after them at the middle of the field. Obviously, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, but also Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, if you choose to actually use them in those aspects as well. You have the ability to kind of create those mismatches in ways that you can set them up with motion as well. They've struggled with that aspect of it. And, obviously they want to continue to play a little bit of a man-heavy scheme with the way Lou is going to set things up. And we saw the way in which the Falcons were able to take advantage of some of those things in their international game and Sauce's first game. Defensively, it's a little bit more difficult because of JT and his ability on the ground. That's going to be incredibly, tough to stop for what the Chiefs can present. But Daniel Jones has had issues when able to, dial up some of that pressure, and obviously what the Steelers were able to do to him. A lot of that was obviously winning one-on-one matchups, which the Chiefs defensive line has struggled with. That's why ultimately, when you look at the entirety of this matchup, it's like the Colts probably should win this game. But like you said, Lance, the AFC West is done. Their playoff lives kind of hang in the balance. This is going to be a massive game to say, hey, are you really still going to be this team that we can look at and have full confidence in? And it's going to be on the coaching staff to be able to make those adjustments and be able to make the lives for the other guys, the star players, easier on this team. This is going to be a put up or shut up type of game ultimately for the Chiefs to be able to get this win at home. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. We can look at the matchups, break it down, etc. Yeah, they fall in the Colts' favor if we're looking at it objectively. But the reality of the situation is, do you want to get it done? Do you want to be in the playoffs? Win this game at home. That's what it comes down to. That's where you put yourself as far as the season is concerned.
Now, I want to kind of put you on the spot here, DMAC, before we get you out of here, man. Again, I genuinely and sincerely appreciate your time here, man. It means a lot. I need to get your thoughts on how you think this season is going to end. I need to kind of I know it's kind of difficult because, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen in this game, but take what you think is going to happen in this game, and then moving forward, where do you see the Chiefs' season ending? And I know you've already been doing some mock draft stuff, which is why I'm ultimately asking this question. How this season ends, I think, is going to depend on what adequate changes I think the Chiefs could or should make. But in your worldview, if put that in a certain way, how you see the season ending. How do you see the Chiefs? What changes do you think the Chiefs are going to make? And how do you think they attack this offseason, both from a draft standpoint, free agency standpoint?
Look, I will say this as a lifelong Chiefs fan that has waited for this type of moment. And I say this moment as the Mahomes era in which we've been a dominant football team. I will say that they've earned the benefit of the doubt from this standpoint for me to stay in this and say, hey, I'm going to give you this game at home for the Colts. So I think that they can win this game at home. I think that they can still make the playoffs. That is very much ahead of them. And if they're still this Chiefs team that I believe that they can be, then they will be able to do both of those things, make the playoffs and win that. As far as the changes that need to happen for this team, that's not changing in my personal opinion as far as whatever happens, because even if theoretically you're able to win this game, turn things around, make the playoffs as a wild card, go on a run, get to the Super Bowl, whatever happens, you still need different voices in the offensive coaching staff room. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that these guys don't know football or they're idiots, anything of that nature. But you can't have the same guys that are Andy Reid yes men in that room. You just can't. Matt Nagy, I'm sorry, you can't be the offensive coordinator. We need somebody with a different viewpoint on football to be able to add diversity to the game plan and also be able to play off of Andy Reid's worst tendencies as far as not running the ball, especially getting under center as far as that aspect is concerned. We got young wide receivers. We can't have, with all due respect, a wide receiver coach that doesn't really have any track record of developing wide receivers doing that job. That doesn't make any sense. We got a current wide receiver being able to, head up the running back room. All respect to Todd Pinkston. I'm sorry, he's not a running back. We need somebody that actually can develop running backs, because guess what? We need to bring some young running backs into this room after the end of the season. Never mind the fact that Brashard Smith needs to have his development continue to be. Defensive side of the ball, obviously they need to make changes. It has to be a heavy investment in my opinion, and it changed specifically in the way in which Spags understands what this defensive line looks like. They need to get more athletic. They have to be explosive off the edges as well. You see what type of defenses have success in this game, whether it is the edge duo that we saw versus the Broncos that were able to get after these tackles on a consistent basis, or we saw on Thursday night what harassed the heck out of Josh Allen, Danielle Hunter, and Will Anderson Jr. You have to be relentless, athletic, and explosive to be able to play defense in the modern NFL, especially as far as the defensive line is concerned. So they need a total overhaul, in my opinion, as far as the defensive line philosophy. They need a total overhaul as far as the offensive scheme diversity standpoint as well. And those two things are in the midst of a different, whole mitigating things as far as the personnel aspects are concerned. But those are the two major things that need to happen on the coaching staff. If that happens with Spags, so be it. If Spags moves on, takes a head coaching job, and that happens with Joe Cullen or Dave Merritt as a defensive coordinator, fine by me. It's not that big of a deal to me. If that is the change, if that brings about the proper thing. The last thing I'll end is this. We are now 3 years of this special teams unit not being that good. I would send a message and say Dave Toad has to lose his job. I do truly feel that way. It's unacceptable to have this level of special teams unit when you're trying to be a championship contender. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't disagree, because I saw his press conference that went viral when he was telling everybody that President Trump doesn't know what he's looking at. I'm like, fair.
Are we sure you want to be making that?
Do you see it? I don't know.
Have you come up?
Guy that should be saying anything.
Have you come up with anything great as far as this return unit is concerned for the new kickoff rules? I haven't seen it. Can your kickoff team not get a holding penalty every time that we get an explosive return? That'd be nice. Can you limit the other team's return units to not have one of the worst starting field position units as far as the National Football League is concerned? If it was a great soundbite, I agreed with the soundbite, but that doesn't change the fact that I have serious issues with Dave Tobias doing as far as his job is concerned. Lance, I do have to run. I apologize. I didn't want to let you know that.
No. That's why I brought that up. I'm like, listen, dude, it's kind of the messenger issue I have. You know what I mean? Not the message. It's more of the messenger. So I'm with you on that 100%. But DMAC, I felt like I just ate like an authentic Italian cuisine right now. I'm so satisfied with this conversation, dude. Like, what you brought to the table is what we needed. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, dude. I told Trev this week, and I've been saying, this is gonna be a tough show to have. And I hated that we had to bring you on at this time, because I was hoping we'd be talking about a team that just continuing their winning ways. But we had a real conversation, and the reason I respect you the most, man, is not only just your articulation and how you come about things, but you're truthful about it. And that's something we always like here, man, is you bring the truth to what people – they may not like to hear this shit. They need to hear this shit, dude, because we're not here to pander. We're here to talk about what's really going on, and that's why you're one of the best out there, man. So before we get you out of here, if you'd be so kind, let the people know where they can follow you on the socials. Let the people know when and where your shows are happening, because I know you're part of the Kingdom Cast. I know you have your own stuff going on as well. Let the people know how they can find you at all times, dude.
Absolutely. So my Chiefs-related content, obviously, find it at DMAC Wake 316, but I am part of the Kingdom Cast family as well. We do our Tell the Truth show every single Tuesday night, so you can go ahead and check us out there, 7 p.m. Central Time, usually when we go live as well. And then also I have my solo stuff as far as DMW Sports, and I cover MLB, NFL, obviously NBA as well, and go through all those sports as well. But obviously heavy on the NFL, and I do my current Sunday stuff as far as some of the betting lanes that I like as well. And a lot of Max Marquee matchups and some film stuff over there. So you guys can check that out. DMW Sports over there, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, TikTok as well. So yeah, I appreciate you guys, man, for having me on. Always good to talk with you, Lance. And we'll make it maybe a little bit short of a time in between next time.
Dude, absolutely. Whenever you have time, you let me know. Don't even have to ask, but hey, bro, I want to join the show. Say less. Come hang out, dude. Like, whenever you're on the show, it's a good show, dude. So I cannot thank you enough for taking time on your Saturday. I know we kind of delayed you a little bit, but you were gracious about it, and I can't thank you enough for doing it, man, because I know you're a busy guy. Your schedule's a tight one, man, and we definitely appreciate you squeezing us into it, man. So, yes, we will definitely have you on the show. Hopefully, if it's cool with you, this season before the season's up, man. Hopefully, we're talking about a team that's on the rise, not on the plateau, if you will.
Absolutely. Happy to hop on, and I'll let you know if we get it back on. All right, man. Appreciate it. Have a good Saturday, man.
Appreciate you. You as well, DMAC. That's all right. DMAC Wakefield. Cannot thank him enough for taking the time to do it this Saturday. Thanks a lot, brother. You have a great weekend, man. But yeah, that's our guy DMAC, dude. Thanks again. You're the best, brother. Yeah, so Trevor, we got to get to this Colts preview because I think that DMAC brought us.
Do we though?
We have to, unfortunately.
Just win the damn game.
I feel like we could have just said, "Hey, DMAC said it best. Let's just move forward." But unfortunately, we still have to give our opinions here, man, because I think DMAC made some great points. Sure. And again, we thank him for the time. He was very awesome, man. The conversation always goes to the film when it comes to DMAC and guys like him. So that's why I always like to have guys like that on the show because they know it so much better than I do. But I want to build off of it, Trevor, because there's a conversation to be had. This is the single most, I think, pivotal regular season game in the Mahomes era.
Yeah, for sure.
This is going to be
what's at stake. Yeah,
we've never been in this position before when it comes to there's so much more of a mortal feeling in these last few weeks than we've ever seen in the Mahomes era,
especially when we revisit this history.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a very fork in the road moment. Yeah.
Yes, and you know, I know a lot of people say, well, yeah, you know, Tom Brady missed the playoffs too. Yeah, guys, let's be real for a second. Tom Brady missed the playoffs as a second-year starter.
Right.
This is not the same situation. Tom Brady also got hurt in 2008 when they missed the playoffs, going 11-5 with Matt Castle. There's context to it. I'm not going to do that. To me, there are no excuses as to why the Chiefs are in the position they're in. There's no excuse for why this team is going into this matchup against a Colts team that is good, but in my opinion, is not a great team to be fighting for their playoff lives, let alone the division, the 1 seed. Those are the things the Chiefs annually should be talking about.
Not a roster that should be sitting on the couch in February.
At this time last season, Trevor, the Chiefs were about to wrap up the division.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. How far, and again, did not bring up, I don't want to sound like I'm an echo here, but like, to look at that roster, look at this roster and say, this is the team that's struggling. I mean, Travis Kelce himself said it on the New Heights podcast, because Jason asked him the question, if you could take last year's team or this year's team, which one would you take? He goes, oh, this year's. Yeah. And Jason's like, I agree. So what the hell are y'all doing, man? So this is a matchup, guys, that, we gotta have a real honest conversation. But if we could put up the injury report up real quick, because I like to start there. We already know the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is 50 right now. That could fluctuate as well. But this is the injury report we have here. So as you can tell, obviously Kingsley and Xavier Worthy are questionable. Kingsley with the concussion protocol and Xavier Worthy with the ankle. They both are highly expected to play. According to every report we're seeing, according to practice, they both have been on the field, and it looks like they're going to full go. They were full participants on Friday, so I fully anticipate for both those guys to be on the field on Sunday. Where the Chiefs are going to be missing a player is for the third straight week. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out with that knee injury. This is going to be the 13th game that Isaiah Pacheco has missed due to injury since the beginning of last season. I don't want to harp on this too long, but guys, this is exactly what I was talking about all along. When the Chiefs came into this season with Isaiah Pacheco as their starting running back, I immediately started to have cold sweats, hot flashes, dead hands, numb lips, all the stuff that What About Bob referenced in that meeting with Dr. Bob or Dr. Marvin.
Don't hassle me, I'm local.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ahoy! This is what I was concerned about, guys. Is that this is what Pacheco? It's inevitable. He's gonna get hurt due to his style of play and just the fact that it's the NFL and sometimes there's just shit luck involved. Both those things are overly concerning overlays, and they're overlaying right now. And now Isaiah Pacheco is going to miss another game. How effective he'd be in this matchup, I don't know. But not having your starting running back available is never a good thing. So this is something that, it just continues to rear its ugly head, and it has to be addressed. The Colts don't really have a lot of concerns banged up wise or injury wise outside of obviously DeForest Buckner, which is a massive loss. I was talking to Colts Believe in Colts Lawrence Owen this week on 65 Tosspire Talk Show, and he could not emphasize it enough how big of a loss that is for the Colts defense. He's been an absolute wrecker, and he has been his whole career. Dude's probably going to make the Hall of Fame. He's unbelievably awesome. But it is not the injury report, Trevor, that really is the conversation here. And I don't want to oversimplify this conversation. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Trevor, but I came into this season, I think, a lot like everybody else, believing this Chiefs team was obviously a Super Bowl contender. But did they?
Yeah.
Because they're not playing like champions and haven't all season long. I believe the Chiefs coming into the season were division winners. But did they? Because they're 1-2 in the divisional matchups and currently third in their own division. I still believe the Chiefs are a playoff team. But do they? It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I believe. I have no control of this game. I have no control of any game. That's why when people talk about, no, don't jinx it, Lance, by saying that. Guys, I have no power. I am just a dude, okay? And the dude abides, by the way, Big Lebowski. I have no power. We have no say over these games. It is won and lost by the men that are on that field, okay? The answer of what they are gets answered on Sunday, or the question of what they are gets answered on Sunday. A fourth consecutive Super Bowl appearance could very well be out of the question. The AFC West, in my opinion, is already out of the question. I don't think they're winning this division, guys, and that's just crazy to say. So I need them to prove to me that they are at least still a playoff team by playing complementary football, running a balanced offense, stop opposing offenses on third down, and execute in key moments of the game. But until they do, I can't blindly keep believing they will when they've lost the same damn way in the same damn time 5 times this season in just 10 games. The Chiefs have got to win me back by winning this Sunday. They got to win me back here, man. Because I'm lost. I'm almost numb to what's been going on this season. And I have to look for the reference, Trevor, of what I can conjure up as to what the Chiefs can do this year. Like, what have they done this season that I feel like they could replicate? And it was that game against the Lions in Week 6 when they won 30-17. That was the last time the Chiefs went up against a legitimate foe and put together 4 quarters of good football and won. Convincingly, I might add. When ironically, the Chiefs in that game did not have Josh Simmons or Rashee Rice. They won by holding their opponent to less than 50% on third down conversions. They were 0-2 on fourth down conversions, while the Chiefs themselves converted 2 of 3 fourth down conversions. They won the time of possession battle, rushed for 112 yards, and had 0 turnovers. Focused football. Situational football. They were down 2 of their best players, and it did not matter.
At all.
The Chiefs have got to do that again this week. Only this time, they will have Simmons and Rice. There are no more excuses. It's either you are or you are not. That is how simple this is. There is no more conversation, Trevor, that Andy Reid can have in the press. I know he said this just last week, I'm getting tired of these press conferences. I know he's joking, but he wasn't joking. There's no more, we just got to do better. We got to bring the energy. They just wanted it more. They just played better. No, this is your season right here. We talked about the Bills game and the Broncos game being must-wins for the division and for the 1 seed. Now we're not having those conversations because you didn't do enough in those games.
This is survival at this
This
point.
is survival. Thank you.
Yep.
It's either you are or you're not. Trevor, looking at this matchup, man, you've had all week to kind of process it, deal with, your frustrations and just the letdown, disappointment feeling this team's been giving us. Where are you at on this matchup, man?
Yeah, I really wish it was Raider week again, but it's not, unfortunately. Yeah, man, I think DMAC hit something that I've been kind of ruminating on too, especially as that interview was going on. And I think arrogance is a word that we should use a little bit more here. And I think humility is something we don't practice enough for this team and this coaching staff. I think, like I've said before on this show, I think sometimes we're victims of our own success because we've had just Patrick Mahomes being just an absolute magician at times, and we become reliant on that. And that is just a fact, undeniable fact at this point of how this team operates a lot of times. And I think we need to practice some humility. It feels like we are so arrogant. And I know Andy Reid doesn't have like this arrogant way about him, but I think there has been some like undertones of arrogance on this team and the way we put our guys out there, the way we act sometimes. It's almost as if we know we're just better than the league and that this league can't figure us out. The league is bigger than the Chiefs, man. There's enough film out there for people to figure us out. We're not exempt of being figured out. I think the league has started to figure out the Chiefs. And I think it's time for us to adjust and make some drastic changes. Teams are daring us to run, and we are simply refusing to do it. It's a massive part of the game, and we're just basically just erasing it off the whiteboard as far as any game plan. And that's arrogance, because we believe we can just go out there and continue to do what we've always done, and it's always worked. It's not anymore. It's not working anymore. Do something else. Straight up, bro. Like if we go run the ball 40 times and win by 1, fuck yeah. I don't give a shit if I just don't care anymore, bro. We got to do something different.
Yep.
Do I expect that to happen? Honestly, no. I got to see that to believe it, right? But I think there's some arrogance on this team right now. I think that we still feel like, obviously, coming off our third straight Super Bowl trip, very few teams in the history of this game have even been able to say that they've been able to do that. So I understand why we think we continue to get away with it. But reality is reality, man. No matter how, there's always somebody bigger and badder than you. There's always somebody that can figure you out. You're not bigger than the league. Teams are getting better. We're on the outside looking in right now. What are we going to do about that? Continue to just do what we've always done, and then hopefully it just catches on and teams just forget. No, man, teams are figuring us out. There's certain patterns. There's certain things that we do that teams are just, the film exists. Teams prepare too. It's not like I just think we've been better than everybody for a long time, and we've gotten away with the cutesy stuff and the smoke and mirrors that Andy Reid's put together, and it's cool, but like sometimes we need to play up straight up X and O's, traditional football, and I believe we have so much talent on this team that we can go play straight up football and just beat people.
Right.
And not having to do all this crazy stuff. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best, if not the best quarterback I've ever witnessed in my life with my own eyes. And you're telling me he can't just go execute simple plays? Yes, he can. And I think that we're S on our own D a little bit too much on these the way we prep for games, and it's putting too much on Patrick Mahomes to have to do all this stupid stuff and just play straight simple football, man. I'm not saying that's going to win every single time, but give us something. Just take the layup plays.
Yep.
Run the ball. Take what the defense is giving you. Be patient. Be humble. Right? I think there's a lot of arrogance on this team right now, and I think it's really coming back to bite us in the ass, man. And it's been warranted. The arrogance has been warranted up until this point. That's life, though. You know, we've seen great fighters, great boxers have their moment of decay, or they have to really go back to the chalkboard, really go back to the whiteboard and figure things out again, kind of rebuild. And we've seen, look, there was 2 different dynasties in New England, and they did things very differently. The Randy Moss year, that offense was ran very differently than all the other offenses. Why? You know what I mean? They leaned into their strengths. Our strength right now is not all this. We're just trying to let Pat wing it. That's not working right now. Teams are exposing us. We've been exposed. And that's part of the game, man. You can't go this whole time without getting figured out. So I think we just need to go out there and kind of simplify the game a little bit more. And just and obviously still lean on the greatness of your head coach, lean on the greatness of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But man, I do think that is something that we don't talk about enough this season, especially with the arrogance of this team, man, and of refusing to change. I remember how we felt when our defense just kept suffering because of Bob Sutton, and Andy Reid refused to just give the guy the boot. He gave him 2 extra years he should have never had. And then we finally left, things started to change. And, I'm not saying that somebody needs to get fired or whatever. Maybe Nagy isn't the guy. I don't know. So there's going to be a scapegoat. I believe there's going to be some changes this offseason. But what are we going to do about it right now?
Yep.
This is a game we have to win. It's do or die right now. I expect Patrick Mahomes to show up 100%. But the game plan, the game calling, I mean, that's where my questions reside, man. And I need to see some different schematic changes, especially in the offensive side. The defense, I do trust Spags to show up and the way we started against the Broncos, it was nice. We had 2 blitzes in the first 8 plays. That was cool to see. But then it fizzled out. We got to find ways to be consistent on both sides of the ball. But especially, man, for me, with the talent that we have on the offensive side, there's no excuse to not put up points. There's just no excuse the way this offense has been playing the last 2 games. Unacceptable. And a lot of that does start with having a balanced attack and running the ball and forcing defenses to respect a semblance of a running game, because they just don't. And when one team, when defenses can just basically just scheme to stop one thing and not have to worry about a whole other half of the offenses, just don't even worry about the run at all. Just cover the field and cover the receivers and just try to get there with 3 or 4 guys consistently and get pressure on Pat. That makes it a lot easier. So I need to see some change, man. This week we have to see some different looks straight up.
Our guy John Harrison just dropped a comment that I found very interesting. He said, "I'm sorry But part of this arrogance is to make Mahomes happy. He wants to throw deep. He said it before. To him, it's not fun when they just work the ball down the field. So I think that John makes a valid point here.
Sure.
And I think that, yes, I think that
There's
Patrick.
catering.
Yeah, when you give a guy $500 million and he leads you to 5 Super Bowls and 3 of them were victorious,
Right.
I think there is a little bit of a concession that happens. So I get that. But to me, and this is not me trying to deflect the point that John's making, but I think even Patrick would admit, because interestingly enough, Patrick was asked this week by the media. They asked him the question, do you have a preference? Do you prefer lining up in shotgun or under center? And he goes, my preference is to win. So, okay, if that's the case, if winning is all that matters to Patrick, that means that he should not be worried about style points. That should not be worried about whether they're throwing the ball downfield or not. Do what fucking gets the job done. He did that in 2023 and 2024.
Right.
So keep that going, even with the dogs in the house. When you have Rashee Rice healthy, when you have Xavier Worthy healthy, when you have a legitimate left tackle, when you have Kelsey playing like he's 29 again.
Yeah.
Utilize that. You know what I mean? Utilize what is in front of you. Don't try to just, no, I just want to keep throwing the ball downfield. I don't think that's Pat's mentality.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't get Pat's
there's a
mentality.
massive part of sustaining greatness. Having greatness in a flash in the pan type situation is cool. We've seen great seasons come and go. We've seen great teams come and go that fizzle out in a year or two. But sustainability is the hardest thing to do, especially in football. This is why these dynasties are so rare.
Yes.
And when they happen, they tend to last longer than any other team. This comes in waves, right? There's always like these, but they're very rare though.
Yeah.
And when the great ones are here, they tend to hang around and they're sustainable. Sustainability comes with humility. It comes with the ability to adjust and change things accordingly, right? Like I said, there was different ways that the Patriots won.
Yeah.
There was years where Tom Brady didn't even throw 30 touchdowns, and their defense was just ridiculously good. No one could do anything about it. And there was times when we saw the Tampa Bay era where Tom Brady was just on fire, had all the weapons, was just throwing 45 touchdowns on a yearly basis plus. You know what I mean?
You know what's ironic though? Tom Brady's best statistical seasons, he didn't win the Super Bowl.
Sure.
The 50 touchdown season with Brady Moss did not win the Super Bowl.
But I mean, that team was also undefeated.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, but yeah,
his most success was when he wasn't the one that was putting up these staggering numbers. Now, I don't think
Right.
that's the reason they didn't win.
But there's a lot of different. My thing is the key ingredient to sustainability is being able to pivot.
Right.
Being able to see that we have a problem. Let's do something else.
Yes.
Instead of just leaning in and just dying on the sword. We don't have to die on the sword.
Right.
We don't have to do that. Patrick Mahomes is such a great quarterback. I know he can win in different ways. We've already seen it in his era.
Right.
We've already seen him not have to throw for 5,050.
Right.
But we've seen him do that also.
Right.
We've seen him do that win Super Bowls in two different ways.
That's why I said break glass in case of emergency.
Right.
You want the Mahomes magic to be a part of the game plan. You don't want it to be the game plan.
Yeah.
Like that can't continue to be the game. It could be in 2018.
Yeah.
Where it was just fun. The league never seen anything like this guy, and it's going to take a couple years to adjust to this, and it did. Because in 2019 and 2020, he was still doing it.
Right.
But then what happened in that Super Bowl? Not only did they have a horrific offensive line, but Todd Bowles said, fuck that. We're playing cover 2 exclusively.
Yep.
Beat us underneath. And Patrick could not adjust to it on the fly.
Yeah.
Because he had a bad offensive line against a formidable front seven. Simultaneously, they're locking up anything downfield. That changed things. From that moment on, things changed.
Sure.
So that's what needs to happen. You're right. The evolution of the league has caught up to the Chiefs.
Yes, it absolutely
So
has.
now
You
the
can't
Chiefs
deny it
need to
anymore, dude.
evolve to the league.
Yeah.
Continue to counteract. The Chiefs stopped counteracting and rested on their laurels this offseason, and now we're seeing the results of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make sense because, again, on paper, the Chiefs are as talented as anybody. They have all the recipe is there. They're just not doing it. They've refused to evolve with their own pieces, and it's so frustrating to see, man. Could they run the table? Could they win the next 7 games?
They definitely could. Yeah.
They absolutely could. Or they could win 8-9 games this year and miss the playoffs entirely. And then we're sitting here going, how the hell did that just happen?
Yeah.
And then real questions are going to have to be asked this offseason. Questions we'll be asking on this show.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, in this exact matchup, where's your confidence level in this game, Trevor? Do you...
It's low. I'm not gonna lie. It's
go ahead.
low. It's low. I don't feel confident, man. Especially if we go out there and just do the same thing we do and just do the typical Pat figuring it out, and then and Rashee in the backfield and us running out of shotgun. I don't know. I want to play some smash mouth, bring the fight to the Colts kind of game. I want to bring the fight. I have not felt that energy from this team in several weeks. Or we're just outside. I mean, embarrassing the Raiders doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
Shutting the Raiders out did not mean shit to me. It felt good as like my inner child because my inner child just absolutely despises the Raiders, and I still get up for Raider week. We all knew that we were going to win that game. Did I expect us to shut them out? No, but like it was cool. It doesn't matter though, especially what we're looking at right now. Yeah, we got Rasheed back. Rasheed looked awesome in those two pretty easy matchups. Washington, Raiders, whatever. Cool. Those are teams that we knew we should have destroyed.
Right.
And we took care of them. We did. But now any team that has a semi-winning record or is like a possible playoff team, we're losing all those games, bro. And that is unacceptable. And it's a fair point against the people we've had to listen to all year that were doubting us. They're right now. All the cartons and all the talking heads and then McIntyre's, they're gloating right now.
Oh, yeah.
They have a glow right now.
Oh yeah.
Because they feel emboldened in their takes. And they're right. And we're sitting here looking like idiots, trying to carry the torch and barely have our head above water right now. And it's very frustrating. And my confidence level in this game is not good because this is a good team we're facing this week. This is a frightening running back that we got to face who's been shredding damn near everybody outside of the Steelers are the only ones that truly shut him down. And Daniel Jones, for whatever it is, the dude is a guy that can extend plays with his feet. We've struggled against players like that sometimes. We just saw Bo Nix do it. Bo Nix just outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Daniel Jones is better than Bo Nix. This is a better team, in my opinion, than the Broncos. They have more talent, especially on the offensive side. They have a better head coach, in my opinion. This is our home. This is our home turf. What are we going to do? Are we going to defend this home turf? Or are we going to tuck it between our legs and go home? This is where we're at, man. And it has to be the Colts, too, a team that we've just historically struggled against and had let down after let down game against this team.
The only team Patrick has not beaten in the regular season in his career.
Here we go. What are we going to do?
The story writes itself.
You don't think Pat knows that?
The story writes itself.
Yeah.
It's worked out coincidentally perfectly for him to destroy narratives in a game that the Chiefs absolutely have to win. It's no longer about the division or
it's up to the
seed.
Chiefs to give us fans confidence.
Exactly.
It's up to them. It's not our job. We're not being paid to be a confident player out there and go win these games. They are. We just feel whatever they give us.
Right.
They dictate our emotions.
Right.
Right. So give us something to cheer for again, because the bye week included, this has been a sufferable 3 weeks, man.
And I want to say something else before we get to our key players and our score prediction. I've seen a lot of chatter as well, and this always seems to happen after losses, but in particular this season it's been very loud. Is this pushback from certain fans in the fan base where they're trying to call other fans that are upset about what's going on, at least outwardly, because I think everyone inwardly is really upset about what's going on. But the people that are honest enough to have the conversation and talk about it like we are here, people are coming at it with, oh, you guys are spoiled now, or you guys, you're not appreciating what this team's done and what Andy Reid's done, and let's be thankful for what they've done. Guys, if we were sitting back right now having a conversation about what's been done,
yeah,
clearly we're going to sit here and be appreciative because there's nothing to not appreciate for what they've done. But we're talking about a team, once again, that came into this season as one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, as a team that they were the favorites to win the AFC. I think maybe the Bills were above them, but the Chiefs were one of the top dogs when it came to contending for Super Bowls this year. They had the favorites to win their division by a long shot. Even with the Broncos and Chargers being technically better, they have failed this season. So us having this conversation is not about being ungrateful for what's been happening or what's happened. We're upset about what's currently going on. Because, again, if Andy had retired before the season or if Patrick got hurt week 1, obviously the conversation has to
Patrick's
change.
in the prime of his career.
Right.
This is not about ungratefulness. Are we spoiled? Hell yeah. Do we want to remain spoiled? Yes. That's the point.
That's the point here.
We want this to keep going. We spent our damn near my whole life being let down by this team. Now we've tasted the sweet nectar of what true greatness feels like on our team, not for another team that we just give to admire from afar and give respect to. We're the team now. We've been the team. Yes, we're spoiled. Of course, and I want to remain spoiled.
Yeah.
I want to ride this out as long as possible. And this season has been the biggest letdown of Patrick Mahomes' career so far.
Right.
It's unacceptable with the team that we have right now. Just straight up. We have the same coaches, same staff that we've won several championships with. There's no excuses. Pat needs better, and everybody needs to be better. Outside of Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's been fucking phenomenal this year. Outside of him, everyone's been up and down as far as their job and consistency of their job. Past 2 weeks have been some of the worst games I've ever seen out of Patrick Mahomes. Straight up. Even with bad play calling, he's overcome it a lot of times, and it's not working anymore. Teams are figuring the Chiefs out. Things are happening. There's enough film out there for people to start seeing the gadgety things that we do, and we're not getting the ball in our playmakers' hands. And it's just certain things are not working, and we demand change right now, and the offense has got to do something different this week. Straight up. Tomorrow, something needs to be different. I need to see something different tomorrow.
Yep.
It's unacceptable, dude. If this team misses the playoffs, like I agree with you, this is going to be one of the biggest, maybe the most upsetting outcome of any team ever, as far as expectations and matching the results.
Yep.
So
I want to get your key players in this matchup, Trevor, because that's something we have to discuss. I know that that Daniel Jones was on the injury report with a calf.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. I think that his legs are going to actually be a part of this game plan. I think that they're going to utilize his legs because they know that the Chiefs have been bad against quarterbacks that can run. And I think that, obviously the whole emphasis is going to be on stopping Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
But I said I think there's gonna be some smoke and mirrors from Shane Steichen. He's gonna cook some stuff up this week, man. I'm interested to hear who your key players are in this matchup.
Well, Tyler Warren frightens me.
That's
the guy that scares me the most. I mean, Michael Pittman's had some good games against us before. Josh Downs is a little phenom in my opinion too. Love that guy. That guy is deadly in the slot.
Yeah.
But I do think this game does come down to stopping Jonathan Taylor in my opinion though. That's just he's the engine of that offense. When they know that they have the games that they've had to rely on Daniel Jones to be the guy, he's been awful.
Yeah, truly.
In the past 3 games, he's been trash. So I hope that continues this week. But my guy on the defense has to be Nick Bolton, man. We need a Nick Bolton game here. This falls right into his style of game. This team wants to run the ball. This is a run first team. Nick Bolton is one of the better run stuffing linebackers in the game. I mean, you've seen this guy have forced fumbles, tip balls where he picks it off, and he's had in the big moments, Nick Bolton has shined big in a lot of our games in his time here. So I'm expecting him to rise up in this game and be a massive factor. Guys like him, Leo Chenal, even Drew Tranquill at times. In that Chargers game, Drew Tranquill was awesome. We lost that game, but Drew was unbelievable in that game. He can have another game like that similar here. Just getting after Daniel Jones and making him uncomfortable. This just feels like a Nick Bolton game where he either gets a sack or he stuffs a run, is really on Jonathan Taylor's ass. We need somebody who's going to get in Jonathan Taylor's head and just slow that offense down and allow us to, on our offensive side of things to breathe a little bit. Not feel like we have to go out there and be Superman, because we just can't have that. It's just not working right now. So Nick Bolton game for me. On the offensive side of the ball, man, I know I want to run the ball, and I don't expect us to run the ball too much. I think we will a little bit more this week, but I'm just never going to expect us to lean into that. This has got to be Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is back. He was awesome his first 2 games back. Did absolutely nothing last week. The week when the Bills game was pretty mid as well. This has to be a blow-up spot for Rashee Rice. And it's a bad matchup for the secondary, honestly, in my opinion. I know they got Sauce. Sauce is going to be on the outside a lot, too. I don't think he's going to shadow Rashee Rice, and I think that's a mistake. So I think even if he does shadow Rashee Rice, I think Rashee just has the skill set that would embarrass that man, in my opinion. Rashee Rice is a budding superstar in this league, and we need to treat him like such. Feed the man the ball. I want 14 targets for Rashee Rice in this game. Force feed him the ball. Get the ball in the playmaker's hands. If Xavier Worthy is not right and he's not really doesn't have the versatility, okay, that's fine. Figure out something else. Run 2-3 tight end sets like DMAC was talking about how the Rams have adjusted this year. They've been running those 3 tight end sets, and it's been working.
Yep.
It's been working. We need to adjust. So, but with that being said, I do think this needs to be a game where Rashee Rice gets force fed. I want to get him in space, allow him to create after the catch. That's where this team has always thrived since he's been here. That's where this team has thrived offensively.
Yep.
Travis Kelce's been picking up the slack from the underneath stuff and even the yak plays. Travis Kelce's been incredible. You get the ball like that to Rashee Rice, this could be a blow-up spot offensively for the Chiefs, in my opinion. So, Rashee Rice, Nick Bolton are my guys, man.
Those are some really good picks. Mine's going to be a little bit more cut and dry because I think this game, like my whole approach has been be very consistent with my whole approach has been consistent with just what is and what isn't. You know what I mean? Like, are you or are you not? It's just a simple, yes, it's a simple question. It's a gut check, reach down and see if they're there kind of thing.
Yep.
My key player on the defensive side is whoever's on Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a lot of Trent McDuffie because I know he's been working more towards the slot again, and I know that Tyler obviously is going to play a lot in that area,
especially on third down. Dude.
Yes,
it's always these damn tight ends that convert these third downs on us.
In their 2 losses this season, Tyler Warren averages about 40 yards and no touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's a massive reason why. Now, obviously, Jonathan Taylor is, you're 100% correct.
Yep.
He is the single most important player on that entire roster. And as crazy as it sounds, I actually think the Chiefs are going to have a good game plan against him. I'm not saying he's not going to have a game.
Yeah.
I still anticipate Jonathan's going to have at least 90 rushing yards. Probably a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to have what he just did a couple weeks ago with 232 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think Spags will have something dialed up to at least slow him down enough to give themselves a chance.
Yeah.
But Tyler Warren is the guy that scares me the most because the one thing we do know about this Chiefs defense, they struggle mightily against good tight ends. And I don't think that's going to change unless the Chiefs play their best game, whoever guards Tyler Warren on a consistent basis, which I said, it'll probably be a mixture of Trent McDuffie, Jaden Hicks coming off down from the safety position, Jalen Watson. They'll probably mix it up and keep, formations a little bit tricky on who's going to be on him. But whoever is on him, they've got to play their best game of the season, or else that dude's going to go the fuck off. And then we're going to look back and say, man, Tyler Warren had 110 yards and a touchdown. That's why they won the game, because he just could simply not be slowed down. So that's my defensive side. Offensive side is very consistent to what I've been saying. If Kareem Hunt gets 15-plus carries in this game, the Chiefs are going to win this game. Straight up. Because what will happen is that will create, even as good as Lou Anarumo has been against Mahomes, which is kind of a myth, honestly, because it was more of Patrick having a significant meltdown in that second half of the AFC Championship that made it look like Lou Anarumo's done really well. But other than that, Patrick's actually been pretty damn good against Lou Anarumo. Not having DeForest Buckner is a massive reason why the Chiefs need to run the ball this week. I'm not saying that Andy Reid's going to run the ball 26 times this game. I don't think that's going to happen.
20 carries should be
Kareem needs at least 15.
Yeah.
If you give me 15 rushes for Kareem Hunt, he's going to get you 65 to 75 yards. That is all Patrick Mahomes needs to set up run play action and run player RPO style offense.
And some screens.
Real balanced offense is all I'm asking here. I'm not asking for Kareem Hunt to get, Priest Holmes type of volume. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for you to implement him into the offense where it's like, all right, guys, we have to make sure this is the baseline. 15 rushes. Get him 15 rushes this week.
He's been so efficient. Let him prove that he can't.
Please, because there is nothing.
You know what I mean?
You have the season to lose here.
Yeah.
You have to do whatever it takes. The playoffs start this week for the Chiefs. And if they don't win this game, consider them knocked out of the playoffs. Yeah. Every single game from this point on has to be a playoff game for the Chiefs. You've got to do whatever it takes to win the damn game. If that involves using 30-year-old Kareem Hunt more, then use 30-year-old Kareem Hunt more. It is that simple. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes has to lead the way. Obviously, Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice have to continue to perform and produce. But if you give those guys a little bit less pressure, alleviate some of that pressure where defenses now have to start crowding a little bit, and you give them everything over the top or everything behind, this offense can and will open up again. It really is that simple. Because when this offense is clicking and doing its job, when you get Patrick Mahomes to get linebackers to bite on play action, this offense is unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling, Trevor, that that's what we're going to see. We're going to see a little bit of an offense of, oh my God, where the fuck has this been? I'm not saying they're going to go up there and light the scoreboard on fire. What I'm saying, though, is they're going to make plays in this game, in my opinion, that's going to make us wonder where the hell that has been in big games like the Bills and the Broncos game. Why didn't we do the same game plan in those games where you force the defense to stay on their heels, not on their toes, and they're just basically sitting there laughing at you, basically, because they know what's coming? No more tipping pitches. No more putting Rashard Smith out there on obvious passing downs. Mix this shit up.
Yeah.
Put out a game plan, for Christ's sake. I don't want to hear another Devontae Adams go on to the Manning cast talking about he doesn't think we even run an offense here in Kansas City. That's embarrassing. The standard is way better and way bigger than what they've been showing out there. It's been an embarrassment. So go out there and, like you said, Trevor, make your fans believe again.
Yeah.
Give us something to believe in. I don't want to reminisce already. Patrick Mahomes just turned 30 a couple months ago. We don't need to be sitting here talking about the good old days.
Yeah.
We should be living in the good old days. And we're not. Bring it back. I want to get your score prediction on this one, Trevor.
Man, W to an L. I mean, shit. That's all I care about, man. Like, I want to see a green W in that column next to our logo. I mean, I do think we score, 24 to 27 points. I'll say 27 to 21. I think we win by at least 6. This has got to be a good offensive game for us, man. I fully expect Pat to I think Pat's going to run a little bit more. I think he's going to extend. We haven't seen it from him in the last couple weeks. But 27 to 21, man. I think we win by 6. I'm just crossing my fingers, just going in, kicking my feet up, putting my hands behind my head, and just hoping they can perform for us, man. That's it.
I said from the beginning of the show, and I said it with DMAC as well, the Chiefs have no business being 3.5-point favorites in this game. I don't think they should be. I don't think that they're playing good enough football. The Colts have played very good football. Now, Daniel Jones has struggled of late, and I expected that because I've never been a believer in Daniel Jones.
He's been bad on the road, yeah.
But this Colts team's been playing a better, higher level of football than the Chiefs have. And it's not because the Chiefs aren't good enough. It's because the Chiefs just simply have not played good enough football.
And we're going to get their best, just like every team, man.
Right. And I have stayed consistent all week long. I've even called the Chiefs frauds this week because I think they've been fraudulent when it comes to the Super Bowl aspect. They have not been a Super Bowl team this year. They've been very fraudulent. I've stayed consistent in saying I think this Chiefs team is a playoff team, which means that if they don't win this week, they're not making the playoffs, in my opinion. So that must mean one thing. Although I do not believe the Colts should be 3.5-point dogs, I don't think the Chiefs should be 3.5-point favorites. The Chiefs need to win this game. The Chiefs should win this game because I believe the Chiefs are still the better team, even though the record doesn't indicate it. It is situational football. It's being focused and locked in when it matters the most. No dropsies, no stupid interceptions, no bullshit RPOs avoiding the run shit, no stupid-ass 3rd down and 27s given up on those types of plays. This team needs to play their best football this week or their season is done.
Execute, man. Execute.
Make me believe again. I still think this team can make the playoffs. It's interesting, Trevor. When we were doing our show on Tuesday with Shaggy, Pat Mahomes Sr. chimed in. He told fans that don't believe the Chiefs make the playoffs to DM him and place a bet because he's still confident they're going to make the playoffs. And then he asked the question in our chat, if it ain't the Chiefs that you believe in the AFC, who is it? And I didn't deflect the question, but I said it's not, for me, it's not about who else. It's about what you are. Because if you do what you're supposed to do in Kansas City, you guys are the favorites in the AFC.
That's the problem, though. That conversation shouldn't exist.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to avoid the question.
The Chiefs are on the top, but we're not.
Yeah, because if you look at the AFC landscape,
teams that we don't believe in, we've lost to.
Yes, because if you look at the AFC playoff picture right
Bills,
now,
Jags, we've lost to.
There's not a single team in the AFC playoff picture that scares me.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs are just simply playing their football, there is not a single team I fear. Because they're the only team I fear, and it's more on brand ever before. I've been saying for 5 years, the Chiefs are the only team that can beat the Chiefs. Yeah. It's never been more accurate than this year. So that is what needs to happen this Sunday. It's not about who else. It's not even about the Colts. No disrespect. I respect the Colts.
Yeah.
But if the Chiefs go out there and play their A game, the Colts cannot beat the Chiefs.
Right.
So that is what I'm demanding from the Chiefs this week. Or the next time we do a show, Trevor, we're going to have conversations about next season.
Shit, yeah. A game or nothing. That's it.
And I've never thought we'd have that conversation, at least at this point of the Mahomes era, where we're already having to start talking about the next season during the season. That's
just reality, bro. That's where we're at.
I have almost the exact same score as you do.
Okay.
I have the Chiefs winning 27-24.
Okay.
I think there will be points scored. I think the over will hit. I think there'll be 51 points scored in this game. But the Colts are covering the spread. I'm not giving the Chiefs that hook. I'm not giving the Chiefs the 3.5. Yeah. This is going to be a close game, but I think that's the blessing in disguise here. Because if the Chiefs finally win a close game against a good team, a good AFC team, that could be what changes their season around.
Yeah.
Turns their season around. As crazy as it sounds, Trevor, the Chiefs could still go 12-5. Think about that. Like, as bad as this season has been to start off, they could still go 12-5.
Yeah.
Which would not be their worst record in the Mahomes era. The worst record is 11-6. Mm-hmm. That is still on the table.
Yeah.
But it starts this Sunday. And all week long, I'm not going to lie to you, Trevor, all week long I was picking the Colts. All week long. But then I thought about it. I said, again, what game can I reference that I could say the Chiefs could tap back into? And it was that Lions game.
I mean, the smart money is to bet the 3.5 with
100%
with the Colts because the Chiefs are bad. The Chiefs are bad home favorites.
And I'm going to pick the Colts plus 3.5.
Yeah.
But I think the Chiefs will squeak this game out by a field goal.
Yeah.
In a big situation, it's going to be, I believe, this is just, maybe it's a fan in me, but I think what's going to happen is it's going to be one of those epic ends where it's a game-winning field goal or the Chiefs are down like 21-24 with 3 seconds to go and Patrick scores a touchdown to walk off the field. Something like that, in my opinion, is going to happen where the Colts should have probably won the game, but the Chiefs found a way to win the game and it turns their season.
I would honestly, as much as it would be annoying to watch, like just struggle through the game and have that, but having a walk-off win like that would actually be a good thing for this.
Yes, more than a blowout.
To go take control of the game late and just outright win it and take the game.
Yes.
We kind of need something like that, especially for Pat.
Yes, because I think what would happen, and
we go with blow them out.
A win is a win is a win.
Much.
You know, a win is a win is a win is a win. All that
sounds. Yeah.
But visualize this. Let's say the Chiefs go out there and play like they've been playing, and they end up blowing out the Colts like 31-17.
Right.
They're not going to learn anything from that.
Yeah.
They're going to go, oh, see, I told you guys we can just keep doing that shit.
Chiefs.
But if the Chiefs go out there, play a methodical, old school style of football where they play like 2023 again and win 27-24 or 27-21, that changes things. Because you're like, you guys just showed us if you do the right thing's going to happen. And now you can start stringing together victories. That's what needs to happen in this game. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be a stressful Sunday. I think it's going to be a very neck and neck close game. Colts are going to play good. Like I said, I'm not buying the whole Daniel Jones injury thing. I think it was very coincidental. I'm not saying dealing with anything, but I just felt like it was kind of gamesmanship. They put that out there to maybe the Chiefs won't game plan that he's going to run, and I think he's going to run. I think he's going to use his legs in this game. Because he has been to that point turning the ball over a lot. I think they're going to want to try to get him out of the pocket and maybe utilize some play action of their own because Shane Steichen loves that style of football. But I think the Chiefs are the better team.
Struggle against play action.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's no more excuses. I don't want to hear shit from Andy Reid about energy not being good enough or I didn't set them up. No, this is the week you do it. And if you don't do it, your season's over. And I'm not ready to say that the Chiefs' season is over yet. I still think they're a playoff team because they're too damn good. They're too damn good to be where they're at right now. So start winning some fucking games, man. 27-24. Trevor, let's get to the people. They now know our prediction of this game. I want to get some questions in. I'm sorry, guys. The show's gone a little bit longer in the day than it normally does, but we had a little bit of we got a star in the family, dude. Or we got a volleyball star, dude. You got to have games happen on Saturdays, man. That's how it goes. So, Trevor, let's get the people to speak it.
Well, the people is basically all COLTS 32 in the chat.
Damn.
So I appreciate it. He's got several questions in here, but if you guys got more, shoot them my way. He starts it off with speak it. I know some people may think it's an overreaction, but if you miss the playoffs in Mahomes' prime, you have to go, especially when the problems are so blatantly obvious. Run the damn ball.
It's hard to disagree with any of that because of the fact that the opening act of that take is the whole take. Yeah. You can't under no. That's why I said, Trevor, that it would be the greatest failure in the NFL history if you have prime Mahomes with a loaded roster, and the Chiefs do have a loaded roster. They have a very damn good roster, healthy as they've been for 3 years, better than they've been in 3 years.
Yeah.
And you'd miss the playoffs? That's unacceptable. That's if the Chiefs were to make some drastic changes this offseason, I would support it because that is something that just simply cannot happen. You can't have that quarterback with Travis Kelce still playing the way he is, with the skill position players you guys have finally all together, with an offensive line like that you're paying real money to and drafting with first and second round picks. Yeah, you can't miss the playoffs. So that's unacceptable.
Follows that up with CEL32 follows that up with Speak It. And like I said last week, this season, this defense is overrated. We have no pass rush. The first down, the Broncos we had a fucking George Karlaftis and coverage when we already don't have pass rush. I mean,
yeah, that play, I saw that play when he was running after, I think it was it Franklin or whoever it was he was running at. I'm like, what is Spags even doing there? Like, you're paying this guy money to not rush the passer when you already have limitations there as it is. Like, I mean, they're pretty much donating money to Mike Dana at this point. Like, he's done literally nothing this season. I think he has 3 tackles and 1 sack. Yeah, and I know we want to harp on Chris Jones, and I get it, but he's 31 years old, been in this league for a decade, and he's around a bunch of guys that cannot win one-on-ones, let alone 2-on-1s. He's the only guy. He's playing far more second downs than he ever has. I think he's played the 3rd most snaps amongst all defensive linemen this year. Dude's worn out. Yeah. Like, I'll give Chris a little bit of credit here. Yeah, man. Because he's not getting any younger. He is an older player, and he plays one of the most physical positions on the football field, and no one else is getting the job done but him. That's very frustrating to see, man. So yeah, I'm with you on that, dude. Like I think that the defense might be a little bit overrated because they have chewed up some pretty bad offenses this season, which makes their stats look a little bit better than what they probably really are. But do I think this defense is bad? No, I don't think this defense is bad. I think they're more than good enough to get the job done, and I expect that to happen this week.
Yeah. COLTS3292 follows that up with Speak It. I agree with this one too. There's no fire or urgency. When Pat says the same shit every pregame, shit gets stale. Travis, same thing, has no fire. Chris Jones needs to be the vocal leader. I think there is a lack of rah-rah right now. I mean, obviously, losing waters that fire a lot, right? And the way we've been losing, the teams that we've been losing to, you lose the Bills and the Broncos back-to-back games. That's rough, man. It's rough on the fans, but it's even more rough on the players because those are teams that they, get up for. Those are the games they're supposed to get up for. And I agree with that's why I like this point because it's true. We haven't seen enough fire out of these guys. I know we've been hearing about Pat chewing guys out in the locker room and shit, but like, where's it getting us?
Right.
You know what I mean? What is the message? What is the message right now? What are these? What is the chatter between these guys? What's going on the sidelines? I'm not seeing much either, man. So I agree. The body language hasn't been great, along with the actual lack of execution on these plays and on the defense and offensive side.
Yep.
It's bad vibes all around, man, and it's up to them to change it this week. Our guy Tony Russell 4622. Fellas, with Pacheco out this week, Kareem hopefully can carry the run game if utilized. Plus, this being a short week, Pacheco will have fresh legs against Dallas. This should be a run-heavy game, 60-40.
I would love that. I just don't think that's a reality. I think that I'm asking for the bare minimum here. I'm asking for Andy Reid to simply give Kareem Hunt a few more carries in this game than he has over the last several weeks. I mean, we have not seen Kareem Hunt get 15 or more carries in a game since the AFC Championship.
And to my point, to his point, my rebuttal to that, as far as like the whole short week narrative, and we got to play on Thanksgiving coming up soon, and you get the Dallas Cowboys. Fuck all that. We can't worry. The short week, there is no short week game plan this week. It is balls to the wall right now.
Yep.
I want the best. Give me your best. I want you to whip out all the best plays you got. Right. This is a must-win game. The game next week might not even matter much if we lose this game. We lose 3 in a row to AFC division, the AFC foes.
Right.
This. I mean, dude, it's almost a wrap. We have like a 46% chance maybe to make the playoffs at that if we lose this game. Fuck the short week narrative. Fuck trying to play, manage this game and just get a W. No. Go win this game straight up. Do whatever you got to do. If Pat's got to run, I don't give a shit. Do everything you got to do to win this game. Fuck a short week. Fuck the Cowboys. Fuck Thanksgiving's game. I don't give a shit about any of that. We need to do everything. This is a playoff game right now.
Yep.
Straight up. And that should be the mentality. You want fire? You want the rah-rah? You want Chris Jones to be that guy that's rah-rahing people up? Whatever we got to do. I don't care if it's Andy Reid need to go bump into Travis Kelce again. Give me everything you got in this game. Period. We'll worry about the Cowboys later. We got to beat the Colts, man. So give me the best you got this week. COLTS32alt92. Speak it. When is Jawaan Taylor going to be held accountable?
I think he has been. I think you even heard Travis Kelce kind of allude to in the New Heights podcast this week when he was talking about, some of the dumb penalties they're having. Well, if you look at the dumb penalties that happened this last week, it was primarily the Jawaan Taylor illegal formation, or when he lined up wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's been his biggest issue.
It's not a performance. Like when he's playing, there's no pre-snap penalties. The dude's awesome.
He's actually a very good right tackle. Awesome. Yes, that's the frustrating thing about him.
He's not getting beat consistently at all.
That's the frustrating thing about him, and I just don't understand because
bonehead four-time things.
We've had this conversation many times. I think that the league does kind of pick on Jawaan.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, when you know that's happening, you have to do something about it. I can't tell you guys how many times I've seen it when they're throwing that flag and they automatically go to the replay and show how far back he is. Like, dude, you got to stop doing it. That's why Travis has jumped his ass on the football field. That's why Travis is talking about unofficially Jawaan Taylor in this podcast, because it is so goddamn frustrating. Because it also happens at the worst times imaginable. The Chiefs were in, I think, on the 5-yard line when he got that one that pushed him back. And then what happens the very next play? Patrick Mahomes throws an interception.
Yeah.
Like, that's the cost of it. It's like, dude, you can't keep screwing your team over like that. When you're an offensive lineman, your goal should be, I don't want my name heard one time on the broadcast.
Yeah.
If you don't hear about me, I'm doing my job. Unfortunately, though, we continue to hear Jawaan Taylor's name, and it is always for the same damn thing over and over again. I don't get it. Dude's a 7-year vet and still struggles with it and will not. You know what? And it's kind of on brand because you play for a team that just refuses to make changes that you need to make. I don't know. Maybe that's just something it was their motto this year. Don't change, because, I mean, that's what they're doing. And so, yeah, he needs to be held accountable. I think he is being held accountable because now the Chiefs have a wild card. Yeah. They can play Jalen Moore there. And if it's week 11, week 12, and Jawaan Taylor's still doing that same shit, and the Chiefs are trying to win games to survive and get into the postseason, then you need to bench him straight up. If he's not going to make the changes, if we see that again in this Colts game, bench him. I've been somebody who's defended Jawaan Taylor on this show and on social media many, many times over the last couple of years. I'm over it. If he does this shit anymore, it's over. Bench him.
That is the last question.
Great stuff, man. I know you guys were probably just, kind of chilling back this week because, like I said, we had a guest on that is a very in-depth guy. DMAC's always awesome, man. It sucks we've only had him on the show a couple times. We got to change that. But I appreciate the questions nevertheless, guys. I know, like I said, probably everybody's just frustrated right now. They're just trying to see what's going to happen this Sunday, and I totally get it. Doing shows like this is not always the most fun, but you know what? We have fun anyway discussing the things that are going on amongst the Chiefs and the NFL as a whole. So, again, we appreciate it, guys. And if you'd be so kind, if you're going to watch, if you're going to listen, if you're going to be a part of the show, you might as well hit us up on YouTube, go to the Spoken Podcast, and subscribe, share, like, notify, all that. How about also hit the comment button? We want you to be a part of the show. It is a community-driven show. We don't talk at you. We talk with you. We appreciate it in advance. Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, whoever's holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
Well, speaking of people who need to be held accountable, I'm going to have to hold myself accountable here. I spent the last 2 weeks giving future L's and predictive L's and prophetic L's. I was going hard last week on this show in preparation for this Broncos game that I felt very confident in. And now I look like a fool. Outside of my legitimate, sweet Patriots take this year, this past 2 weeks I've been brewing hyping this Broncos game up. And I went in hard, man. I gave my L to anybody who was doubting the Chiefs in this game, acting like the Broncos are the team that can make the play when needed and it can, whatever. I went on my whole soliloquy and my L last week and, giving it to people who knew better than me at this point now because I was wrong, absolutely wrong about that game in damn near almost every way. We were not the better team. We didn't have the better quarterback in that game. Everything went wrong for my takes there. And now I have to eat crow. So I'm holding myself accountable here for, doubting the Broncos. God, I almost threw up in my mouth when I said it. It's very, yeah, that was stomach acid is rising as I'm saying these words. But listen, man, I have to be accountable to myself, and I gotta eat some crow, man. So here we are, just hoping the Chiefs can make the playoffs at this point. And I was talking about, hell's coming with us after the bye week. Division's still very much in ours to lose. That's all out the window now, man. So I'm just hoping the Chiefs can get this win this week and make the wild card and get hot at the right time. That's kind of all we're hoping for at this point. So my tune has changed a lot, and that's unfortunate because I was really hoping I could bask in the glory of that take last week, but I'm quite the opposite now. So Trevor Twidwell, do me a solid favor, sir, and hold this L.
I honestly thought you were going to go with the Stephen A. and Cam thing with Drake May, but you know what? We don't have to go on that. I actually want to attack this weird ass cult called the Josh Allen Apologists. Man. I've been consistent in what I've said about Josh Allen. I think he is the second best quarterback in the NFL. I do. I think there are guys that are close. I think that Matt Stafford has shown you guys what I've been saying for years, and I think he's more than elite. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes. Dak's a lot better than people give him credit for, just because he plays with the Cowboys and people give him shit. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no question about that. Joe Burrow when healthy. But Josh Allen, to me, is better than all those guys because he has a unique talent and ability to not only be huge as fuck, but he's insanely mobile, has a cannon for an arm. You know, he's made insanely great plays. He's led that team to the playoffs every year he's been a starter.
Yep.
And credit to him, man, for what he's done. But there's also another side of Josh Allen and his legacy, and it's the dark side. It's him being what he was against the Texans this week and has been several times this season, where he gets reckless, careless. He, I guess, fakes injuries now. I don't know. Like, there's weird shit that's going on, too, where he looked like he was having a full-blown seizure on the ground and got up and acted like everything was just fine. I mean, being married to an actress, I guess you get acting points, so that helps. But there's this weird movement, Trev, that I don't know how else to really address it other than I just feel like everybody wants their white knight still at quarterback. And I think he's the one. Like, let's not pussyfoot around this. People like great white quarterbacks. Like, it makes everybody feel like it's the American dream, you know? Like, you get this big old white boy that can play quarterback better than anyone. And it doesn't even matter what he does on the field. How do I know that? Look at proclaimed great, all-time great radio hosts like Jim Rome and what he said after that performance against the Texans. This is a real tweet. This is not AI. This is not a parody account. This is what Jim Rome said. Josh Allen proved again he's not just the best quarterback in the league. He's the toughest. May as well just sleep in the blue tent after that beating. Then you have dipshits like Adam Rank who said this on his Twitter account. Again, not AI, not a parody account. The Bills need a hard reset. Josh Allen deserves better. Josh Allen deserves better. Hey, Trev, real quick, can you throw up that third one for me, please? This is Josh Allen this season. Games with multiple turnovers. And would you look at that? Look at the results of those games. Multiple turnovers. He has 10 interceptions this year, but it looks like he has a lot of fumbles as well. Look at the results. Lost by 3, lost by 10, lost by 17, won by 12, lost by 4. They have how many losses this season, Trevor? Oh, 4. And all 4 of those games, he shit his pants. He had 8 sacks against the Texans. I understand that's an insanely great pass rush.
Yeah.
But he ran into like 6 of them, and he admitted to so.
He was not good.
He was terrible.
Josh Allen was not good in that game.
He had 2, not just interceptions, horrific interceptions. Both of them, by the way, had a pocket time. He was not like sacked and got hit and they went up in the air. He had time in the pocket and delivered the balls right to the defenders. His second interception,
Dude.
I think it was Dawson Knox who was on the left side, wide open, could have walked in the end zone. Instead, throws it right to the defender.
Yeah.
Throws it right to the defender while fading back for no reason, I might add, because there was no upfront pressure. It was uncontested, and he fades back and lofts the ball right to the defender.
He was rattled, man. He was rattled the whole game.
And you're going to tell me he needs more. When just a week ago, he had 6 touchdowns. They whooped the Buccaneers, who put up 32 points. Well, it didn't even matter. And we're sitting here talking about, see, that shows you, best quarterback in the league. They're still Super Bowl hopeful. And then this happens the very next week. This is the Nick Wright roller coaster he talks about with Josh Allen.
Yeah, the Dolphins game was the most telling one so far.
The Falcons game, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ Jesus, dude, he was terrible in that one as well.
At least those are good defenses. The Falcons have a good defense.
Totally fair.
Dolphins defense, they just traded away their best player, and they went out there to shut his ass. That one was tough.
And this is where I bring Mahomes back up. Because, yes, I get it, guys. Patrick's not having his best season, even though right now he literally has the same amount of touchdowns as Josh Allen and 1 fewer game. What I find so funny, Trevor, is the difference between these guys and how they're perceived in the national media.
Yeah, man.
Last season, Patrick Mahomes does not have a starting left tackle. Literally had to play Joe Tooney over there half the season and in the playoff run.
Yeah.
Did not have Rashee Rice after the first month of the season. Lost Isaiah Pacheco in the second game of the season. Lost Hollywood Brown for the first 15 weeks. Didn't have Charles Minhu for the first 12 or 13 weeks. A series of injuries. Travis Kelce had maybe his worst season of his career.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes not only led that team to 15-2, which was the 1 seed in the AFC, got back to their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl, but Patrick Mahomes also led the league in game-winning drives and fourth-quarter comebacks.
Well,
and all we can hear.
And along that time, he's beating Josh Allen every year.
Oh, yeah, thank you, by the way.
Postseason.
Yeah, beat Josh Allen in the AFC
Guys
championship.
better than him.
Yeah. And all I heard all season was, what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
He's not putting up the numbers he normally does. Why can't the Chiefs blow people out? Their scoring margins are so down.
That's them telling you they still think that Patrick Mahomes is better without saying it out loud. They just want to crown Josh Allen, but why is Patrick more scrutinized?
Right.
Because he has a higher standard?
Exactly.
That's odd.
But what's so funny, Trevor, is that people are still doubling down on this take, saying that Josh Allen's the best in the league, right? The Bills letting him down. Last I checked, Trevor, he's had more top 5 defenses in his career than Patrick Mahomes has.
Yeah.
And last I checked, they had an elite receiver.
He's just not due this year.
Yeah, right. And last I checked, Trevor, he had an elite receiver in Stephon Diggs. They ran out of town. Last I checked, he had the #1 ranked offensive line going into that game against the Texans.
Yeah.
Last I
He's
checked,
one of the best
Josh Allen,
5 years.
Yeah, last I checked, Josh Allen is the defending MVP. And yet we're sitting here defending him and saying he doesn't have enough. When James Cook had over 100 rushing yards in this game, when Khalil Shakir had over 100 receiving yards in this game, when he literally had one of the freakiest kick returns by Ray Davis in this game, if it wasn't for that, they have 12 damn points.
Yep.
And you're telling me he needs more.
Yep.
How about the MVP play better? How about he puts them on their fucking back like Patrick Mahomes did over the last 2 years with his team that was injury-ridden, talent deficient, left tackle deficient? How about that? How about he does what Patrick does? He can't because he ain't Patrick Mahomes and never will be. And for that fact, and for this entire fucking cult following for Josh Allen, do me a solid and hold this L. Because it's some bullshit, dude. It needs to be called out, and I'm calling it out today, dude.
It is bizarre. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love Josh Allen as a player. He's fun to watch, man.
Yes,
But
second best in the
bro,
league.
There's levels to this, man.
But yes, thank you. There's a gap between the two, man. It's going to continue. Well, I would love to say that this has been the funnest show we've had of the year, but it's not. But it may have been the most truthful, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as you could. I would love to come on this show and just sprinkle, just beautiful soliloquies and just tell you guys that everything's just fine. But you know what?
Who needs a therapist? Who needs a therapist? I mean, we got the spoken.
This is therapy right here, man.
Grievances.
Yes, the grievances were definitely grievance today. And we appreciate all of you guys that came out to hang out today. We have shout out to DMAC Wakefield for dropping knowledge. The time we had with him, man, it could have went the whole show with him, man, and it still wouldn't have been enough. So again, thank him, thank Kingdom Cast for letting us borrow him for a little bit. Definitely give him a follow today, guys, if you guys can, on Twitter, DMAC316. That is one of the best follows you guys can have. But I like I said, man, I'm sorry, DMAC Wake 316. That's the full handle. But I appreciate all you guys, man. Join us on YouTube, man. It'd be so kind of you guys for you to do that, and we'd love to hear more from all you guys. And we appreciate all the feedback. I actually got a DM yesterday, Trevor, from a guy saying he's been a big follower of our show for a long time, and he appreciates the content even through the tough times because that's what gets him through it. That is definitely humbling. I cannot say that enough, that people care enough to hang out with us on shows like this in the tough times, because I know there's nothing like after a loss like that against the Broncos. I just wanted to just get away. I didn't want to talk football. Yeah. But being on this show, it's always the right choice. It's always the right choice because it's something we all need. Because this is what brings us together, man. And we love this team. We want to see them continue to succeed. Like Trevor said, man, we want to continue to be spoiled because it should be that way. And I want to see that continue. And it starts this week, man. The season has started off so shitty, but I think that they can still get in the dance, and then we'll see what they could do when they get into that dance. Because there's one thing I do still believe in vehemently. It's this Chiefs team in the playoffs. I know what they can and will do. This team doesn't know what it's like to not be in the AFC Championship, and that's the baseline. So get in the playoffs, give yourself a shot against an AFC that I know can be beaten. Do it. Go and do it this week against a Colts team, or we're gonna have a much different conversation moving forward, man. I hope door number 2 stays closed. That's all I'll say. Yeah. But in the meantime, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts all this together, the back end of things at Red Tribe Cinema, I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 337 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito, and hopefully in 1 week's time. I apologize. Let me backtrack real quick, Trevor. So we got to make an announcement here on the show before we get out of here. So because of the fact that Trevor is having, more of a demanding schedule on the weekends with Scarlett the Great playing volleyball, and it's going to be more of a demanding time on Saturdays, we are deciding as a show to move back to where we originally started the show. If you guys remember, if you guys have followed us back in even the podcast days before we started going live with our guy Eddie Ortiz, we were doing podcasts on Friday nights. And because Trevor had a demanding schedule with his work back then, Friday nights was no longer possible, so we moved it to Saturday mornings because he was off on the weekends. we have to continue to adjust. Unlike the Chiefs, we're going to continue to adjust around here. So what we are deciding to do is we are going to move our show back to Friday nights. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know Trevor and I talked about it, probably about 6:30 on Friday nights, get the show going around 6:30. Hopefully that doesn't bother any of your guys' schedules, because obviously we value all of you and we want you to be a part of the show. But we're going to move the show back to Friday nights at 6:30.
Set those alerts on your YouTube channel too, so you know when we're going live. You get alerted when we go live.
Yes,
so you don't forget.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's another
I
big,
don't forget.
Another big incentive to move over to the YouTube side of things, guys, is to go ahead and get us on Friday nights. And honestly, it's gonna be good for everybody too, because then you guys have your weekends and stuff. Because I know you guys have probably things going on Saturdays, and we don't want to take your whole Saturday away like we probably do every weekend. We want to give you guys that opportunity. And like I said, it bodes well for us on this end as well. So hopefully that's okay with you guys. But yeah, that's what we've decided to do here. The show's not going anywhere. Obviously, we're just going to move it a day earlier, on 6:30 at Friday night. So let the people know. Anybody that may have missed the show, let them know. But that's what we're going to be doing from here on out. I hope you guys are cool with that. So if we end up doing a show this next week, it's going to be kind of tight because, like I said, it's Thanksgiving the day before. More than likely, we'll be doing a show the following week to start that off. But just wanted to let you guys know that in the meantime. So again, for everybody involved in the Spoken Podcast, episode 337 was fun, but now it is done, and that rhymed. And until next time, until we're back here for 338, hopefully in the next week or so, on Fridays, Lance Twidwell saying, guys, let's hope that this is the turnaround for the Chiefs, where they get things going for them. But yeah, in the meantime, and until next time, we out of this bitch.
Later.
Happy Thanksgiving.